You're in Konoha, and you call these ninja tools? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Class Division. Hinata's eyes met with Tianyu in mid-air for half a second, and then she moved to the side, not daring to look Tianyu in the eye. Then she saw Naruto, who was studying the shadow clone technique. Huh? Did Naruto-kun even know the clone technique? How could he use the higher-level shadow clone technique? Hinata's little head was very smart, and she soon thought that his shadow clone technique was probably taught to him by Tianyu-kun. If only I could become stronger. Hinata suddenly had such a strong desire in her heart. Then, as if she had made a certain decision, she suddenly had a kind of courage. She suddenly raised her head and asked Tianyu, Tianyu-kun, can you also guide me in my practice? It was indeed a very rare thing for Hinata to take the initiative to make such a request. Everyone was stunned for a moment, but Tianyu was the first to react, and smiled and nodded at her and said, if you want to learn, of course I can teach you. Really, really. Hearing his answer, Hinata suddenly became ecstatic. Of course. I want to become stronger, too. Hinata's tone was weak, but her eyes were full of determination, like a flower blooming on the edge of a cliff. At this time, Tiantian, who had seen some of the tricks, couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. Then she pulled Naruto next to her and walked towards another training ground. Hey, Tiantian, where are you taking me? Naruto shouted in confusion. Oh, you are such an idiot, can't you even see the current situation? The two of us should not disturb my brother from personally guiding Sister Hinata to practice. Tiantian said in a very cheerful tone, and then pulled Naruto away. A few days after the graduation examination of the ninja school, Tianyu and his friends went to the photo studio to take photos for the file, and then received a notice to go to the ninja school. When Tianyu and his friends arrived at the ninja school together, the classroom was already full of people. Most of the students tied the forehead protectors on their foreheads. Tiantian and Rock Lee tied the forehead protectors around their necks, and Tianyu tied the forehead protector on his left arm. Their faces were full of longing for their future ninja careers, but they obviously didn't know that the real test to become a ninja would be conducted after the class division. At this time, the Chunin teacher walked into the classroom and gave them a heartfelt blessing. Congratulations. From today on, you are all independent ninjas. However, since you are all still Jonin, you need to form a group of 3 to follow the guidance of the Jonin to carry out the mission together. Next, I will start to announce the grouping. Hearing that it was a group of 3, the atmosphere in the classroom began to become lively. Everyone looked around, curious about who they would be assigned to a group with. Among them, a large number of eyes were focused on Tianyu. Although he had not come to the ninja school for a long time and disappeared from the sight of many classmates for 4 years, the scene of him defeating Hyuga Niji and becoming the top student in the class 4 years ago was still vivid in everyone's mind and could not be forgotten. If you can be assigned to a group with such a strong person, it means that the success rate of the subsequent mission is guaranteed. The Chunin teacher began to announce the grouping: Inazuki Hazuki, Aburame Shido, Hyuga Shianki, Tasaki, Tianzing, Urano Yui. As the grouping became clearer, everyone's mood changed a lot. Those who successfully assigned themselves to a group with the people they wanted to be with were overjoyed, and those who were assigned to a group with people they hated were unhappy. But they didn't hear Tianyu's name for a long time. Finally, the Chunin teacher read the name of the last group. The next class is the last class of our class division this time, Class 9. The members of Class 9 are Tiantian, Rock Lee and Hyuga Niji. The moment the voice fell, countless eyes fell on Tianyu in an instant. Tianyu was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect that his name was not on the list of this class division. So he immediately stood up from his seat and asked the homeroom teacher, "Teacher, why is my name not included in the class division this time?" The homeroom teacher said, "Tianyu, the Hokage will make arrangements for you in the future." After getting such an answer, Tianyu could only sit back in his seat and wait for the so-called arrangement. Time passed by minute, and one class after another was picked up by their Jonin instructors. The number of people left in the classroom became fewer and fewer. In the end, only Tianyu, Tenten, Rock Lee, and Hyuga Niji were left in the classroom. Hey, boys, I've been waiting for a long time. A full of energy voice sounded in the air, and a green whirlwind appeared in the classroom. Might Guy appeared in front of them. At this time, he said with a bit of apology on his face, I just dealt with some things at the Hokage's place, so I came here a little late. Okay, members of Team 9, let's go. Might Guy showed a bright smile on his face, and a cross starlight flashed on his white teeth. Teacher Guy, but my brother. Tiantian's face was a little hesitant. She couldn't bear to leave her brother here alone. Don't worry, Tiantian, the Hokage has his own arrangements, you don't have to worry. Might Guy comforted Tiantian. I'm fine here alone, Tiantian, you follow Teacher Guy. Tianyu said with a smile. Okay then. Tiantian nodded, and the three of them followed Might Guy out of the classroom. At this time, the classroom was extremely quiet, and Tianyu was the only one sitting quietly in his seat. A faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He really wanted to know what the old man, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, was up to. This time, he didn't have to wait long. Not long after Might Guy and the others left, an Anbu ninja wearing a cat mask appeared in front of him. Mr. Tianyu, the Hokage has summoned you at the back mountain of Konoha. I see. Tianyu nodded, then stood up and disappeared instantly, leaving the Anbu ninja stunned for a moment, amazed at the speed of his instant body flickering technique. At this time, Tianyu had already quickly leaped towards the back mountain of Konoha in the distance. The back mountain of Konoha, which is behind the Konoha Hokage Rock, has a very large training ground. Behind it is a vast forest. This is not an external training ground and is rarely open to the public, so few people come here. Of course, the Hokage has the right to use this site. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen, wearing the white divine robe of the third Hokage, stood on the open space above the Hokage Rock. The fierce wind blew his clothes away and fluttered in the air. Behind him, an Anbu ninja wearing an animal mask knelt on one knee and bowed behind him. On the left shoulder of his Anbu uniform, there was a special badge, which symbolized his position as the current Anbu minister. At this time, the tranquility was broken. Sarutobi Hiruzen was the first to ask, Kakashi, what do you think of my previous proposal? Kakashi's low and cold voice came from under the mask, and he answered respectfully, I'm sorry, Hokage, I still don't think that boy who is only 12 years old has the ability to become the captain of the Anbu. 12 years old is really too young. What are those 12-year-old boys and girls doing now? Swinging, flying kites, playing house? Going up the mountain to pick flowers, going down to the river to fish? Fighting for a girl, being jealous of a boy? How can a child of this age join the Anbu? And what's worse is that the Hokage wants to directly promote him to the position of the captain of the Anbu. Even in the era he lived in, the war was raging. It was the bloodiest and most intense world war. Even the newly graduated Jinan would be sent to the battlefield. Even though he was known as a genius boy, he graduated from the ninja school at the age of 5, became the youngest Chunin in Konoha's history at the age of 6, and became the youngest Jonin in Konoha at the age of 12. But at that time, he did not have the strength to become the captain of the Anbu. As the current head of the Anbu, Kakashi really couldn't accept that among the captains of his assassination team, there was a little kid who was only 12 years old. Chapter 52 Joining the Anbu. Hokage-sama, when I saw the information of that boy before, I didn't know that he was Mr. Xiangshin's son. It's not for this reason that I want to reject this boy from joining the Anbu. Kakashi paused, then said more bluntly, as the head of the Anbu, I must ensure the mission execution of the Anbu ninjas, so in my eyes, strength must speak. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled knowingly and nodded, of course I know that. He should be here by now. Who is coming? Kakashi's eyes were full of doubts, but he didn't choose to ask. Anyway, he would know the answer soon. Hokage-sama, are you looking for me? A gust of wind blew in the air, and a white figure suddenly appeared in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Kakashi. His long black hair was tied up high, his face was handsome, his figure was slender and upright, and his gestures were indescribably elegant. If it weren't for the Konoha Ford protector tied on his arm, he would look like a noble son of a big family. What surprised Kakashi even more was that when the boy appeared in front of them just now, he used the instant body jutsu. He really couldn't imagine that this was a B-level ninjutsu used by a 12-year-old boy. It seems that this kid named Tianyu is really as extraordinary as the rumors say. However, Kakashi's thoughts did not change because of this. He still didn't think that this 12-year-old boy in front of him had the ability to join the Anbu, let alone become the captain of the Anbu. Well, Tengo, I've learned about your situation. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned around and asked Tengo, with your current strength, it would be a waste of your time to join the ninja team again, so I wonder if you are interested in joining the Anbu. Anbu. Tengo narrowed his eyes, then shook his head and refused. Sorry, Hokage-sama, I'm not interested. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Kakashi were both stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect that Tengo would give such an answer. Do you know what it means to be able to join the Anbu? Kakashi couldn't help but ask coldly, how many people are trying their best to join the Anbu but don't have such an opportunity? The Anbu is indeed one of the most popular departments among all the ninja positions in Konoha. The selection requirements have always been very strict. Only the most outstanding and most executive ninjas have the opportunity to participate in the selection of Anbu ninjas. It has always been the Anbu that screens others. This is the first time that someone has refused to join the Anbu so directly. For ordinary ninjas, joining the Anbu is indeed of great significance. Joining the Anbu means getting close to the power and political center of Konoha village. The Anbu is the closest to the Hokage and the power center of Konoha among all the ninjas. Therefore, the ninjas from the major families are trying their best to send their clansmen to the Anbu. But for Tianyu, he has no interest in the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen and the dark and corrupt political struggles in the village. Tianyu thinks that if he joins the Anbu, it would be a real waste of time. With his time, Tianyu would rather use it to forge ninja tools, practice to improve his strength, or pick up girls. Joining the Anbu or something, I'm afraid only people with a broken brain would choose to join, right? Tianyu, don't be so anxious to make a decision. The wrinkles on Sarutobi Hiruzen's old face deepened, and a kind smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He said to Tianyu, letting you join the Anbu is not only a kind of experience for you, but also allows you to better protect your family. If you join the Anbu, you will have a better understanding of the situation in the village, the land of fire, and even the 5 major countries. You can also receive dangerous intelligence at the first time. The families of Anbu ninjas are given priority protection in emergencies. This is the natural advantage of Anbu ninjas. Of course, it's not just that. I can also give you all the help within my ability. Sarutobi Hiruzen continued to say with a smile, doesn't your family run a ninja tool store? If you join the Anbu, I can let your family handle all the orders for ninja tools. Coercion and inducement. After listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, Tianyu's mind suddenly had such an idea. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Sarutobi Hiruzen, this old thing, is really not a fuel-saving lamp. Because he did propose a condition that was enough to make Tianyu excited. Sarutobi Hiruzen first threatened him with the safety of his family, and asked him to join the Anbu to ensure the safety of his family. Then he proposed an actual exchange of interests. Although Tianyu's ninja tool shop is now the largest ninja tool dealer in the village, it has always been engaged in retail. The most profitable business, such as the unified wholesale of ninja tools for departments such as the Anbu, the security department, the torture department, etc., has actually always been run by the people of the Sarutobi clan behind the scenes. Tianyu, who also has some knowledge of the ninja tool business, naturally knows that the order in Sarutobi Hiruzen's hand can make much more money than ordinary retail. If these orders can be obtained, Tianyu's ninja tool shop will be enough to double the store specifications, occupy the leader in the ninja tool direction in the entire Konoha village, and even further form a monopoly position. Tianyu is very excited about this. He thought to himself, anyway, the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't have 2 years left. When Naruto and the others took the Chunin exam the year they graduated, the old man would be killed by his apprentice Orochimaru, and he wouldn't have to stay under him for a long time. If he thought about it this way, this deal was very cost-effective. The old man Danzo was still alive and kicking in the village. Although it was almost impossible for him to set his sights on him and his family, becoming an Anbu ninja would be an extra layer of protection for his family. Thank you for your advice, Hokage. I understand. A man of insight is a hero. Tianyu immediately smiled and said, I choose to join the Anbu. Well, not bad. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded with satisfaction, and then said to Kakashi, I'll leave the man to you. You can decide how to arrange it later. Hokage. Kakashi wanted to say something else. But Sarutobi Hiruzen interrupted him and said directly, Kakashi, don't question my decision. After Tianyu joins the Anbu, he will prove his strength. Kakashi was silent for a few seconds, and then he could only say respectfully, "Yes, Hokage-sama." In the evening, Tianyu returned home. Tiantian, his father Tiantian, and his mother Keiko sat together at home and ate a very sumptuous dinner. This was to celebrate that Tiantian's class had passed Might Guy's assessment, and the 9th team had been officially established. Starting tomorrow, the three of them would follow Might Guy to start their mission. However, as for Tianyu's situation, no one knew what happened. At this time, Tianyu took the initiative to stand up and announced a very important decision. "Dad, Mom, Sister, I will join the Anbu starting tomorrow." Snap! The chopsticks in Tiantian's hand slipped from his hand and fell to the ground, and he was stunned. Mother Keiko covered her mouth with her hands, her beautiful eyes showing shock. Tenten's reaction was the most intense. She stood up from her seat, her mouth wide open enough to fit an egg, and exclaimed, "Brother, what did you just say? Where are you going tomorrow?" This reaction was too intense, wasn't it? Were they also shocked to learn that I had joined the Anbu? If they knew that I had rejected the Hokage before, and only agreed to join the Anbu after the Hokage offered to make concessions, wouldn't they be shocked? Chapter 53. The whole family is shocked. Tianyu could only repeat himself, "I will report to the Anbu tomorrow." Bang! Tiantian, the father, suddenly stood up from his seat, slapped the table with both hands, and confirmed to Tianyu again, "Son, you really didn't lie to us, did you? You were really hired by the Anbu." Tianyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and could only nod again. "Of course, why would I lie to you?" Tiantian was suddenly surprised and happy. What surprised him was that Tianyu was only 12 years old this year, and he had never heard of a ninja in the village who could join the Anbu at such a young age. His son might very well become the youngest ninja in the history of the Anbu. What made him happy was that not only did the two children in their family become ninjas, but his eldest son actually entered such a powerful organization as the Anbu at the age of 12. This matter was enough to show how powerful his son's talent and strength were. This was definitely a great thing that could bring glory to the family. More than a decade ago, a young man from a civilian family rose up in Konoha village. With his strong talent, he became a disciple of Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas. Later, he was quite accomplished in ninjutsu. With his own research and development and improvement of ninjutsu, he shined in the Third World War and became the golden flash that frightened the enemy. This person is the 4th generation of Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Although more than 10 years have passed since the 4th generation of Hokage sacrificed, the older generation of Tiantian and others still can't forget the peerless, sunny and powerful 4th generation of Hokage. And now his son, although he is also from a civilian family, but he has now shown his outstanding talent and strong strength in ninjutsu. Is it possible that his son will become a Hokage in the future? Thinking of this, Tiantian couldn't help but feel excited. "Tiantian, hurry up, run and tell your second uncle and the others." Tiantian shouted. Tiantian was confused and asked dumbfoundedly, "Ah, tell what?" "Of course, tell them that your brother has successfully joined the Anbu. Such a big event must make all relatives and friends happy. Oh, by the way, tell them that the store will be closed this weekend, and everyone should come to our house for dinner to celebrate this event." Tiantian's face was ruddy, and he shouted excitedly as if he was a little drunk after drinking. "Got it." Tiantian agreed, and then ran out in a hurry. "Aunt Zhang. My brother was selected into the Anbu. My father invites you to come to our house for dinner on the weekend. Uncle Tianji, my brother was selected into the Anbu. On the weekend, you can bring Aunt Yaohu to my house for dinner. Uncle Tiantian, my brother." Outside the window, Tiantian's joyful shouts came one after another. With Tianyu's current perception, he can still hear her shouts clearly at a distance of several hundred meters from the neighbors. Tianyu couldn't help but hold his forehead. He really didn't expect that just a small thing like joining the Anbu would make his family so excited. As for the fact that he had rejected the Hokage, forget it, let's not talk about it. Tianyu decided not to give them more excitement. After a while, Tiantian notified everyone and ran back. After Tiantian ran back, people began to come in one after another at his doorstep. "Oh my, brother Tiantian. Congratulations. It is said that a tiger father will have a dog son. Tianyu is such an honor to you. Not only did he become a ninja, but he was also able to enter the Anbu. He is so amazing." "Oh, brother Tiantian, as soon as I heard Tiantian tell me, I really rushed over. I didn't prepare any gifts at the moment, so I brought you some freshly fried tempura at home. Let Tianyu try it. Brother Xiangshan, my little boy Jidaichiro is also clamoring to be a ninja at home every day. I wonder if your brother Tianyu has time. Can you give him some guidance? With our brotherly friendship, the price can be negotiated. I definitely have enough money. Tianyu watched as more and more people came to the house, and his father chatted with his friends more and more happily, and his mood became more and more excited. He suddenly felt something was wrong. At this moment, Xiangshan looked over and blinked at him. So he and Tiantian exchanged glances, and immediately understood each other, and chose to run away at the same time. At night, Tianyu was lying on his bed, flipping through a document that Kakashi had given him today. Inside, there were some detailed introductions about the Anbu, as well as basic knowledge and daily rules. The following text recorded Tianyu's current Anbu ninja number and the code registration form. The first time he officially came into contact with the Anbu, Tianyu found that the Anbu is not what he had imagined before, just a simple fight and kill. There are still many things that need to be learned by himself, such as the various codes of the Anbu, and various means of information exchange, etc. Every qualified Anbu must go through a period of familiarity before being competent for the work of the Anbu. Of course, there are indeed many benefits to becoming an Anbu ninja. First of all the ninja tools needed for training can be provided free of charge, and the remuneration for carrying out tasks is also higher than that of ordinary ninjas. Of course, if unfortunately sacrificed in the mission pension and so on are also several times that of other ordinary ninjas. The title of civil servants in the ninja world for Anbu ninjas is not for nothing, and the welfare benefits are indeed very good. However, Tianyu doesn't care about these. First, he has no shortage of ninja tools, and second, he has no shortage of money. The second benefit is that he can read the records in Konoha at will, including some confidential documents and information in Konoha, as well as information about other countries or ninja villages collected by Konoha intelligence ninjas. The ninjas of the Anbu can read them at will. In addition, the most important thing is that the ninjas of the Anbu can enter a secret base in Konoha for storing ninjutsu scrolls, and they can even learn all the ninjutsu, physical skills and illusions of B level and below at will. Just for this reason, even if the work of the Anbu is extremely busy and dangerous, there are still a large number of ninjas eager to join it. It is precisely because of this that Tianyu, a ninja from a civilian background, has the opportunity to join the Anbu, which is so valued. Because B-level ninjutsu is generally the elite ninjas of the backbone of the entire ninja world, and they need to spend their whole lives to figure out and practice ninjutsu. Of course, even if they are both B-level ninjutsu, there are also differences in strength. The B-level ninjutsu performed by an ordinary Jonin and the B-level ninjutsu performed by a Hokage-level ninja like Sarutobi Hiruzen are completely different in terms of lethality. To a certain extent, it can be said that the level of ninjutsu and one's own strength complement each other in determining a person's actual combat ability, and both are indispensable. My current strength is already good, but the number of ninja tools I have exposed to others is not large. For some ninja tools, I also need a suitable reason to let them appear in front of the world. This base of ninjutsu scrolls can be a good excuse for me. After reading the document, Tianyu murmured. And knowing more ninjutsu may be of great help to me in creating my own ninjutsu. The next morning, Tianyu put on the Anbu clothes he brought back the day before, and his fox mask, and left home. According to the location marked on the document, Tianyu walked to a hidden place in Konoha and then entered this underground passage. The Anbu headquarters of Konoha is a secret base located underground in Konoha. There are more than a dozen Anbu branches inside Konoha, and each branch has different ninja teams stationed. However, what surprised Tianyu is that the location of the Anbu headquarters was almost directly below the Hokage building. Moreover, there is a passage connecting the Anbu headquarters and the Hokage building. Any order from Sarutobi Hiruzen can be easily and quickly transmitted to the Anbu headquarters at any time. Chapter 54 Anbu Report. Entering the Anbu, Tianyu immediately felt a murderous atmosphere coming towards him. Since the Anbu is underground, the lights here are not very bright, and there is a dim and gloomy atmosphere. Here, from time to time, there are Anbu personnel wearing masks, wearing Anbu gray vests, or wearing black cloaks hurriedly passing by him. Some people are curious about Tianyu and will take a second look at him, but most people ignore him and walk directly past him. These people are the most elite ninjas in Konoha who have fought countless battles on the battlefield. Basically, they are not distracted. Continue to walk into the Anbu. At this time, a person walks straight in front of Tianyu and asked in a deep voice, Mingyu. Mingyu is the code name that Tianyu set for himself in the Anbu. Yes. Follow me. This Anbu ninja spoke very concisely and took Tianyu directly to walk in the Anbu building. Over there, it's the place to post and submit tasks. Over there, it's the place to pick up supplies, materials, ninja tools, medicines, etc., all for free. Over there, it's the place where ninjutsu, taijutsu and jinjutsu scrolls are stored. You can check them at will. He took Tianyu around the Anbu, and then introduced several parts of the Anbu and their corresponding responsibilities to Tianyu. At this time, Tianyu finally had a relatively detailed understanding of the Anbu. Although he had read the original work before and had some understanding of the Anbu organization, it was definitely not as detailed as joining it in person. The Anbu is directly under the Hokage and is the elite force in Konoha. It is Konoha's last line of defense and the sharpest blade to strangle any threat lurking in the cradle. Every member of the Anbu is at least above the strength of an elite chunin. At this time, the Anbu ninja took Tianyu to the office of the Anbu director. Director, Mingyu has been brought here. Okay, you can go down. Only Kakashi and Tianyu were left in the office. Mingyu, I have read your information before. According to my standards, I will never accept students like you who graduated from the ninja school under normal circumstances. Kakashi said coldly, although you joined the Anbu and became a member of the Anbu at the request of the Hokage. But this does not mean that I recognize your strength. Tianyu raised his voice and looked at Kakashi with a bit of curiosity in his eyes. Do I need your approval? Kakashi. Kakashi, who was choked, immediately became a little colder, and his eyes looking at Tianyu became unfriendly. Although the specific strength of Tianyu is still unclear, but according to his current performance, from a personality point of view, it is obvious that he is not a thorn in the side who is willing to obey orders. After a few seconds of silence, Kakashi said in a cold voice, you don't need my approval, but you need to show enough strength to let other Anbu people recognize you. Today is your first day of reporting, and you haven't formed any team yet. Although the Hokage wanted me to directly appoint you as the captain of the Anbu, but according to your information I have read before, I think your current experience and strength are not good enough in my eyes. As soon as Kakashi finished speaking, Tianyu's face hidden under the mask couldn't help but roll his eyes. If there was no mask covering it at this time, Kakashi would definitely be able to see his disdain on his face. Please, brother Kakashi, you fought Mamachi Zabuza and you were evenly matched. In the end, you were lying in bed for 3 months because of overuse of Sharingan. And Mamachi Zabuza was killed by me a few days ago. What qualifications do you have to look down on me? However, he probably guessed the reason why Kakashi had some misunderstandings about his own strength. When he went out to travel with Might Guy before, he didn't even have a ninja forward protector, and he was not considered a formal Konoha ninja. So the missions he and Might Guy performed together should all be recorded on Might Guy alone, right? He had seen the information in his file bag before, and almost all the content was written down by Might Guy himself, basically praising him to the sky. And considering Kakashi's attitude towards Might Guy, he should not believe a word of these situations, right? Tianyu glanced at Kakashi, and then asked, what conditions do I need to become the captain of the Anbu? The basic mission mode of the Anbu is to perform tasks in a team. 4 Anbu ninjas are divided into a team, and each team has a captain. The captain is usually a ninja of the rank of Jonin or above. Then, every 10 teams are divided into a large team. The entire Anbu now has only 3 teams, namely the first assassination team, the second assassination team, and the third assassination team. Those who can serve as the captain of the assassination team are at least at the level of elite Jonin, and some of them even master some powerful forbidden techniques. If the 3 captains of the Anbu team unite, even a ninja of the level of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen will pose a great threat to him. Above these 3 assassination captains is the current Anbu chief, Hatake Kakashi. The operation system of the entire Anbu is very complete. There are a total of 121 formal Anbu members. Each of them is an elite and outstanding among the Konoha ninjas. For Konoha, the number of Chunin and Jonin is of course very large, not just the 100 people in the Anbu. However, the existence of the Anbu is one of the most important forces in maintaining Konoha's daily order. With such a large number of elite ninjas, whether it is the Uchiha clan, which was once the largest in the village, or the Hyuga clan, which is now the largest ninja clan in the village, they are completely incomparable in terms of combat power. This is the fundamental power that the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen can control the entire Konoha. From protecting the safety of the Hokage to patrolling the village and protecting Konoha, to going out to perform various assassination missions. Of course, in the Anbu, different levels have different powers. The lowest level Anbu members often do some chores such as patrolling, delivering letters, and delivering messages. Not only is the work very busy, but it is also mechanized, which is a very boring job. After becoming the assassination captain, you can select people from the Anbu, build your own team, and after receiving the mission, you can lead the team out of the village to perform assassination activities. The time is relatively free and the remuneration is generous. Hearing Shionyu's question, Kakashi frowned, and then said, I can give you a chance to try. If your strength is enough to be recognized, you can be directly promoted to the captain of the Anbu. How to prove it? Fight with you? Shiony asked casually, with a relaxed tone. Haha, that's not necessary. Kakashi said coldly, and couldn't help but feel that the boy in front of him was simple. Even if this kid really has some talent in ninjutsu, it is absolutely impossible for him to last more than 3 moves in his hands. You just need to pick a captain of the Anbu at random and defeat him. Kakashi handed a list in his hand to Shiony, and then said, this is the list of captains who are not on a mission now. You can pick one at random from it. Shiony scanned all the code names and said, I choose him, Xianzang. This ninja code name Tenzang, if nothing unexpected happens, should be the only one who survived among the children who were implanted with the cells of the first Hokage Senju Hashirama by Orochimaru in their childhood. Later, he inherited the wood-release blood limit of the first generation and was a ninja named Yamato. The reason why Shiony chose him is very simple. Among the tasks issued by the system in his mind, there happened to be a task that required collecting wood-release chakra. If he could fight Yamato this time, it would be a good opportunity to collect wood-release chakra by himself. But after Shiony selected this person, Kakashi was slightly stunned, and then reminded him, his current position is not the captain of the Anbu team, but the captain of the second assassination team. His strength is also at the level of elite Jonin. Are you sure you want to challenge him? I'm sure. Well, since you want to challenge Xianzang, you only need to hold on to him for 5 minutes. Kakashi said so, and then ordered his men to notify Xianzang to come here to see him. Shionyu's mouth curled up, and a smile appeared on his face under the mask. 5 minutes? It should be enough for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Battle Against Yamato. After a while, a tall man with a mask on his face walked into Kakashi's office from somewhere else. Minister, you're looking for me. The man said in a thick voice. Yes. Kakashi nodded. Tenzo, you don't have any mission now, right? Help me do a strength test for this new kid. I don't have any mission now. Yamato answered respectfully, and then his eyes fell on Shiony. He couldn't help scratching his head and said with some embarrassment, Minister, you don't want me to do a strength test for this little guy, do you? Are you sure you're not kidding me? This little guy looks like he hasn't graduated from the ninja school yet. Shionyu's head was full of black lines. Does he really look that young? Speaking of height, he is only 12 years old and has grown to about 1.7 meters now, right? Exclamation mark. Among his peers, he is already a head taller. He just joined the Anbu today. He is really very young, only 12 years old. It was the Hokage who personally ordered him to be transferred in. Kakashi said. Yamato exclaimed, 12 years old? Is Lord Hokage crazy? Our Anbu is not a place for children to play house. Kakashi sighed silently, but did not refute Yamato's words, but said, since it is the order of Lord Hokage, we must execute it. This time I called you here to let you test his strength so that I can help him arrange a position next. Yamato nodded, and said helplessly, okay, then I know. Then he looked at Shiony again, patted his shoulder, and said in a serious tone, don't worry, I will be careful in the test later. You just try your best to show all your strength. I will stop and won't hurt you. Shionyu's face has completely darkened. Haha, It seems that I have been completely underestimated. This feeling really makes people feel a little uncomfortable. Tianyu coldly shook Yamato's hand off his shoulder and said in a cold voice, "No need." Yamato frowned slightly, but didn't say anything else. The three of them soon came to a training ground inside the Anbu. Kakashi, the head of the Anbu, and Yamato, the captain of the second assassination unit codenamed Tenzo, appeared at the training ground at the same time, which immediately attracted the attention of many Anbu ninjas. The head and the captain are both here at the training ground? It's really rare. I heard that they are here to test the strength of a new kid. The kid is only 12 years old, so young. I heard that the Hokage personally transferred him to the Anbu. Don't kids of this age usually just become Jonin? How did he get into the Anbu? Is he a relative? Some Anbu ninjas who were not out on missions immediately cast their eyes on Tianyu, their eyes full of curiosity and scrutiny. Many people were quite disdainful. They didn't think a 12-year-old kid could be so noteworthy. They didn't know why the Hokage would arrange him into the Anbu. Some people thought that the third Hokage must have other reasons for doing this. This kid might have hidden strength that could shock them. After all, geniuses have always been born in youth. Some old people who have been in the Anbu for a few years still remember that 4 or 5 years ago, the Uchiha clan had a stunning and resolute genius ninja. Uchiha Itachi, who joined the Anbu, later became the initiator of the Uchiha clan's extermination. Of course, the name Uchiha Itachi has become a taboo in the village and can no longer be mentioned. But this incident is enough to prove that age is not a standard for measuring a person's strength. It turned out that the captain of the second assassination unit, Xianzang, personally assessed him. This is interesting. I think this kid is not simple. Look at him, he still doesn't feel stage fright at all. Such calmness is not something a 12-year-old boy can have. If this kid can really hold on to Captain Xianzang's hand for 5 minutes, this thing will be enough for him to brag about for a long time, haha. The surrounding discussions were endless. Tianyu ignored these gazes. He followed Yamato and walked to the middle of the training ground and adjusted his fighting state. "Let's start," Yamato said very concisely, and then took a fighting posture. Tianyu nodded, then lowered his head, and with a dark light flashing in his hand, he put the weighted sandbag on his ankle into the stored ring. Then the next second, he did not hold back at all, and directly turned into a white whirlwind and rushed towards Yamato. Excited Konoha Goriki Cyclone. Blue chakra covered his calves and soles in an instant. With a whistling sound, Tianyu kicked Yamato fiercely. In this attack, Tianyu used all his strength from the beginning. If he looked down on Yamato, a ninja who had reached the elite Jonin level, it would be tantamount to courting death. Tianyu, who had decided to show off his strength, naturally did not hold back. He did not want to kill him directly, but chose to go all out. Tianyu's full speed triggered a burst of exclamations in an instant. Even in the eyes of these Anbu ninjas, Tianyu's body almost turned into a residual image, and it was impossible to capture his accurate figure. His speed at this time was faster than the speed of Lee, who took off the weight when fighting Gara in the Chunin exam in the original work, and it almost reached the speed of Lee after opening the first gate. He started physical training when he was 5 years old, and now he has persisted in the results of 7 years of training. The power and speed he burst out are absolutely amazing. Everyone in the audience fell silent for a moment. They couldn't help but secretly question themselves in their hearts, whether they could achieve such a speed of action now. Then, they all came to a conclusion that made them sweat coldly and their backs went cold. They couldn't do it. In terms of speed of action, they, who were already official members of the Anbu, were not as good as the 12-year-old kid in front of them. Wow, what a fast speed. This, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I really couldn't believe that this was the speed that a 12-year-old boy could achieve. Isn't this a physical move of Senior Kai? This kid actually learned this move? What is his relationship with Senior Kai? This kid is really not simple to be personally selected by the Hokage to join the Anbu. Not only the Anbu ninjas who were watching the battle nearby, but even Kakashi, the examiner of this actual combat test, had an expression of great surprise on his face. Such a speed is completely enough to rival that of an elite Jonin. Kakashi can only think of one person in the whole Konoha who can allow a 12-year-old boy to reach such a terrifying level of physical skills, and that is his good friend, Might Guy. Although he knew before that this kid had followed Kai to practice for several years, he didn't expect that he even learned Kai's exciting Konoha Goriki Cyclone. It seems that he has learned the true skills of Might Guy. Kakashi couldn't help but feel a little sorry for his previous contempt for Tianyu, and there was a bit more seriousness in his eyes when he looked at this competition. So fast. Yamato, who was in the middle of the training ground, was even more surprised by Tianyu's incredibly fast speed. However, as an elite Chunin, his reaction speed was also quite fast. The moment Tianyu's right leg kicked over, he had just completed the seal in his hand. Boom! With a loud bang, Yamato's body was kicked directly into the air, but it turned into a wooden stake in an instant, exploded in the air, and turned into sawdust and flew around. Substitution Technique. Chapter 56, Wood Release Bloodline Limit. Yamato performed the substitution technique, and then his figure instantly appeared in the distance, with his hands already sealed, and he shouted, "Wood Release, Silent Killing Binding Technique." The moment the voice fell, the originally flat ground on the training ground suddenly bulged and broke, and a thick tree trunk suddenly drilled out of the ground, growing and stretching rapidly, and rushed towards Tianyu. It's the captain's wood release ninjutsu. He actually used his own wood release right at the beginning? It seems that the captain attaches great importance to this kid. We can see that the captain uses the wood release that only the first generation Hokage can use. We are also feasting our eyes today. There was a burst of exclamations from the surroundings. But Tianyu was not surprised at all. He didn't even turn his head and raised his elbow directly, and knocked the tree trunk that attacked him. Konoha Bedrock Rising. Crack. At the moment when Tianyu's elbow hit the flying tree trunk, cracks began to appear on the originally flat tree trunk, and fine cracks spread in all directions. Break! Tianyu shouted. Bang! 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 Exclamation mark. A series of explosions came, and the tree trunk connecting Tianyu and Yamato actually exploded from the inside, and instantly blew into several pieces, turning into countless fragments and flying in all directions. What? Yamato's eyes showed a touch of surprise. He had never expected that the opponent could break the wood escape technique he displayed with just the power of physical skills. After seeing this scene, the expression on Yamato's face had become extremely solemn. It seems that he really met a very difficult opponent today. The wood escape technique released by himself using the wood escape technique was very restrained against a power-type ninja like Tianyu. But Tianyu is not a pure power ninja, because those pure power ninjas are usually bulky, so he can find a breakthrough point in terms of speed. But Tianyu has just shown his speed, and his speed is even faster than that of an elite Chunin. He is a very tough opponent. Yamato couldn't help but frown under the mask. Since he is not a match in a head-on confrontation, he can only choose another way to fight him. Even Yamato himself didn't realize that at this moment, he had completely ignored Tianyu's age and completely regarded him as a powerful opponent who needed him to find a way to defeat him. What a troublesome opponent. I am no match for him in physical skills. I have to avoid him from fighting me in close combat. It seems that I can only use this move. Let's see how you can handle it. Muttering in his heart, Yamato formed a seal with his hands again. Wood Release, Sea of Trees. This is a move created by the first generation Hokage, Hoshirama Senju. It is a kind of bloodline limit. Only Yamato, who also has the wood release bloodline limit, can perform this super ninjutsu. Yamato used his own chakra as the fountain of life. Several seedlings of trees broke out of the ground on the training ground. They grew so fast that they were almost visible to the naked eye. In just a dozen seconds, the entire training ground was turned into a huge forest. This is the first generation's ninjutsu. Oh my god. Captain Tenzo has even learned this ninjutsu. It's over, this move has come out, that kid is definitely doomed. This is the ninjutsu invented by the first generation. The huge forest covered the entire training ground. Tianyu stood in the middle of the training ground. At any time, there were vines attacking him from different directions, pressing him step by step. Tianyu kept changing his position and jumping in this dense jungle. The tree trunks and vines behind him were elusive and kept attacking him from different directions. Whoosh! A long vine pierced Tianyu's body. With a bang, Tianyu's body turned into a dead tree and slid down from mid-air. Substitution Technique. Yamato seemed to have expected it. He looked very calm. He just input his chakra again, controlled the 4 vines, and attacked Tianyu's position again. Whoosh! The vines pierced Tianyu again. Yamato shook his head secretly. This is the clone technique. With a bang, Tianyu's clone disappeared again. Yamato had a smile on his lips, looked up at the sky, and opened his mouth slightly. Yamato madly sent his chakra to these trees as nutrients for these trees. Then 10 wrist-thick vines rose from the ground, blocking all his retreat routes, and entangled Tianyu from different directions. This time, you can't hide anymore. Whoosh, Tianyu's wrists, ankles, thighs and arms were all entangled by vines flying from different directions, unable to escape. Then the vines suddenly contracted and tied Tianyu's body to the tree trunk. Those vines quickly merged with the trees, embedding Tianyu's entire body into the tree trunk and completely binding him. Huh? I finally bound him. Seeing that Tianyu's body in front of him could no longer move, Yamato raised his hand to wipe the sweat from his forehead, and finally breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. The person restrained by his ninjutsu, even a cage-level strong man, would find it difficult to escape easily. The vines and tree trunks tied to him would continuously absorb chakra from the body of the restrained person, until the chakra in the body of the restrained person was completely absorbed, and the restrained person himself would be used as nutrients to supply the nutrition of the tree. This is the real horror of the wood release bloodline limit. Although the supply range of the Sea of Trees descent performed by Yamato cannot be compared with that of the first generation of Hokage, it is already a very terrifying killing move among the elite Jonin. Tenyu, surrender. The 5 minutes have passed. Even if you surrender now, you have passed this test. Yamato stood in the distance and shouted loudly to Tenyu. As agreed before, he stopped at the right time and did not really hurt Tenyu. Of course, even so, the strength that Tenyu showed in front of them was enough to gain their recognition. Oh? Surrender. Although he was tied to the tree trunk, Tianyu's eyes were not panicked at all, and he still looked relaxed and at ease. He didn't even try to struggle, just standing there quietly, as if he was the king who looked down on him. There is no word surrender in my dictionary. Ha ha ha. Tianyu's unbridled laughter echoed in the Anbu. The heroism in this laughter, the courage to remain calm in the face of danger, and after seeing his strength, made many people in the Anbu respect him. Yamato narrowed his eyes slightly. It seems that I can only let you suffer a little. Yamato clenched his hands suddenly, and the tree trunks that bound Tianyu suddenly shrank. Yamato decided to let these tree trunks absorb all the chakra in his body. He wanted to see, if you don't even have chakra, can you still surrender? Exclamation mark. But at this moment, Tianyu in the distance had a strange smile on his face. He asked Yamato, Captain Xianzang, haven't you found anything strange yet? Yamato was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly realized that something was wrong. Wait a minute. Yamato suddenly widened his eyes with a look of disbelief, because the trunks and vines of the big trees he controlled not only did not draw chakra from Mangayu's body, but the chakra in his body was actually sucked away by him through the trunks. The speed of chakra loss was even faster than when he performed ninjutsu before. What's going on? Exclamation mark. Yamato's face was instantly full of fear. He looked at the boy in the distance with eyes as if he was looking at a monster, and asked loudly with trembling mouth, how did you do it? Tianyu smiled but said nothing. How did he do it? In fact, he did nothing. His system had issued a task to collect wood release chakra, but he had never completed it. Now was his best chance to complete the task. As long as he came into contact with the trees that produced wood release chakra, the system would automatically absorb the chakra in Yamato's body and use it for himself. Therefore, all the current situation can only be said to be that Yamato fell into the trap set by Tianyu from the beginning. Tianyu was bound by Yamato's vines, not because he really had no way to escape, but just to find a better way to let the system automatically absorb wood release chakra. Yamato, he was fooled. Chapter 57, Ultimate Physical Skills. Ling. Congratulations to the host for completing the mission, collect wood release chakra. Mission reward, a chakra crystal stone forging blueprint. At this time, the system prompt sounded beside Tianyu's ears. Tianyu's eyes suddenly lit up, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Finally, I can officially fight you. The stunned expression on Yamato's face had not disappeared yet, and then he saw the next scene that shocked him. 8 gates of ninjutsu, open the gate, open. Rest gate, open. Life gate, open. 3 roars came in succession, and a violent green chakra instantly burst out from Tianyu's body, releasing an amazing energy. With a surging chakra, Tianyu was wrapped in this green chakra, and his long black hair fluttered in the air. Whether it was Might Guy or Xiaoli who used the 8 gates of ninjutsu in the original work, when they opened the third gate of Life Gate, their capillaries would rupture, their skin would be congested, and they would turn pink. But now, even after Tianyu opened the third gate, his face was still white. Except for the aura and chakra that surged several times, there was no negative change in his image. This is the achievement that Tianyu has made in forging his own body over the years. Opening the 3 gates of the 8 gates of ninjutsu is as easy for him to control as eating and drinking. This is something that even Might Guy, his teacher, can't do at all. Tianyu's improvement of the 8 gates of ninjutsu is also one of the things that Might Guy is most proud of. When Tianyu used such a trick of the 8 gates of ninjutsu, the ninjas of the entire Enbu were instantly boiling. Oh my god, it's the unique skill of Master Kai. This kid has even learned the 8 gates of ninjutsu. This is too scary. Isn't this kid only 12 years old? How did he learn this trick? This is a terrible forbidden technique listed as S level. And Kakashi, who is most familiar with Might Guy, can hardly hide the shock in his eyes at this time. Because the 8 gates of ninjutsu is a ninjutsu that is worthy of being listed as an S-level forbidden technique, not many people in the village know about this ninjutsu, but Kakashi is not one of them. Kakashi, who is regarded as a lifelong enemy by Might Guy, has also fallen under this move of Guy several times. Kakashi can be said to be very familiar with this forbidden technique. He never thought that Might Guy would even teach him this move. This guy, is he crazy? The damage caused by this forbidden technique to the body is quite large. It is a ninjutsu that hurts oneself 800 and hurts the enemy 1000. Before hurting others, you hurt yourself first. After a battle, you may lie down for 10 days or half a month at the least, and you may be disabled for life or even die at the worst. This kid is only 12 years old this year. How can his body withstand the damage caused by the 8 gates of ninjutsu? No, that's not right. Kakashi suddenly shouted in his heart, because the scene in front of him was different from the appearance of Might Guy when he opened the 8 gates of ninjutsu in his memory. Although Kakashi couldn't see his face because of the mask, the skin on his hands didn't turn red like Might Guy's due to congestion. And his current momentum seemed to be easier to control? Was it his own illusion? This kid's mastery of the 8 gates was enough to surpass Might Guy? At this time, after opening the 8 gates, Tianyu just exerted a little force, and the tree trunks and vines bound on him immediately broke and fell off his body. At this time, Yamato saw that the situation was not good, and immediately hid in the forest that he had just created with a wood-release chakra. Yamato was indeed a captain with rich combat experience, and his mind was also very clear. He knew that Tianyu could not maintain the 8 gates for a long time. This explosive power growth was temporary after all, so as long as he could drag it out for this period of time, he would still have the strength to fight him. At this time, all the Anbu ninjas watching the battle couldn't help holding their breath and watching this battle intently. At this moment, they had completely forgotten that this was a strength test for newcomers who had just entered the Anbu. Instead, they regarded this battle as a very rare duel between 2 strong men. Who was stronger? They were really looking forward to this result. Step, step, step. Step by step, Tianyu held a wind-attributed Kusanagi sword in his hand and took his steps forward, looking for Yamato's hidden figure. Ki, are you hiding? Tianyu's mouth curled up with a disdainful sneer. Then he raised the Kusanagi sword in his hand and swung it towards the forest in front of him. Wind style, vacuum/dance. Without the need to form a seal, Tianyu released this powerful wind style from the Kusanagi sword almost instantly, which was comparable to the lethality of B-level ninjutsu. A white light lit up, and a translucent sickle emerged from the void, fell to the ground, and then slashed from left to right domineeringly. The wind blade created by the chakra whistled, and the bluish-white light flashed between the sky and the earth, followed by a deafening rumble. From left to right, it almost covered half of the forest. After the bluish-white light, countless trees made unpleasant sounds and then gathered into one. Boom. Boom. One after another, the big trees fell down, and the whole dense forest collapsed. Tianyu held the Kusanagi sword and opened the 3 gates. With just one blow, most of the forest in front of him was almost destroyed instantly. Such a terrifying wind escape ninjutsu caught everyone present by surprise and widened their eyes. However, the purpose of Tianyu's attack was just to find Yamato's hiding place. The view is finally widened, and I have found you. Tianyu's eyes calmly swept across the entire forest, and finally fell on the corner of the collapsed tree in the distance, and on Yamato, whose clothes were torn and his figure looked a little embarrassed. Damn it, have we been discovered again? Yamato was panting heavily, and he began to make hand seals. What Yamato wanted to release was his strongest defensive ninjutsu, wood style, wood ingot wall. But before the rows of wooden pillars rising from the ground completely protected Yamato's body, Tianyu had already moved. Shangman, open. Duman, open. After 2 consecutive shouts, Tianyu's momentum increased by dozens of times again. His figure suddenly disappeared in front of everyone. His speed was so fast that only a faint afterimage was left in the air. With the 5 gates of the 8 gates of ninjutsu opened, his body at this moment was like a feather, and it seemed that he could fly at any time. Like a flying arrow, with a sharpness that was enough to break through space, even the wind could not keep up with his speed. What is the ultimate of physical skills? 1 punch blasts mountains and rivers, and 1 foot crushes the earth. Or is it that when my guy is in the 8 gates mode, even Madara in the 6 paths mode cannot see the realm of his movements clearly? Although Tianyu can't do that now, at least his physical skills have reached the point where they are beyond the reach of the naked eye and cannot be tracked by low-level ninjutsu. When his speed reaches the extreme, he is enough to make the opponent not even have time to form a seal. If he doesn't even have time for others, what can threaten him? Whoosh! The wind suddenly blew. Tianyu's figure appeared beside Yamato like a ghost. He stepped down and crushed the soil and rocks on the ground of the trial field, instantly causing a cloud of dust. Then he suddenly raised his right leg and kicked Yamato in the stomach. Yamato hurriedly wanted to block it, but at that moment, his eyes widened. What a powerful force! Yamato's whole body was kicked into the air by Tianyu uncontrollably. This is not over yet. Tianyu kicked the ground with both feet, and chased after Yamato, who was flying in the air like a sharp arrow, and hit his thighs, arms, chest, back and other places several times. Finally, Tianyu jumped behind him. The bandage on Tianyu's wrist had been scattered at some point, and it was wrapped around Yamato's body layer by layer. What? Yamato's eyes were full of fear, but he was in midair and could not use any force, nor could he break free from the shackles of the bandages. What kind of ninjutsu is this? It's really terrible. It makes people feel extremely desperate. Chapter 58 Victory. Li Lianhua. The bandage in Tianyu's hand was wrapped around Yamato's body. Both of them dived down rapidly with their heads facing the ground. They were all wrapped in green chakra and fell at an extremely terrifying speed, like a falling meteor falling from the sky. Yamato's face had turned completely pale. At this moment, he even felt the fear of death. No. Yamato roared with despair in his eyes. However, he was completely powerless. Just when the two were about to crash into the ground together, Tianyu changed the direction of the dive and landed lightly on the ground with the Yamato, who was tied up like a dumpling. Captain Xianzang, you lost. Tianyu smiled softly on his face under the mask. Yamato, who felt that he was rescued from the brink of death, suddenly collapsed on the ground, his heart full of gratitude for surviving the disaster. It was really. I almost died. Yamato, who had personally experienced the inner lotus flower move, personally realized how terrifying that physical skill was. The clothes on his back had long been soaked with cold sweat, and the chakra in his body had long been consumed. I lost. Yamato showed a bitter smile on his face under the mask, and then said in a very weak tone. At this moment, the entire training ground was silent, and everyone's eyes were focused on Tianyu, falling into a sluggish state. In their eyes, there was unstoppable surprise and astonishment. Because this newcomer who had just entered the Anbu, he had just defeated Captain Xianzang in front of them. Mingayu. Is he really only 12 years old this year? Such strength is really terrifying. He defeated Captain Yamato at such a young age, his future is simply limitless. When someone in the crowd said this, all the Anbu ninjas in the audience fell silent again. Yes, the boy in front of them was only 12 years old. Such a bearing, such an attitude, such strength. He is truly a child of destiny, and even now he has the demeanor of a strong man. The eyes of the Anbu people looking at Tianyu have already increased a little more worship and admiration. At this time, Kakashi, the head of the Anbu, strode over from a distance. He ordered his men, quick, call the ninjas from the medical department. Everyone was stunned, and then they quickly carried out the order issued by the head. The Anbu is very close to the ninja hospital, and the ninjas from the medical department quickly rush to the Anbu. Who is injured? Asked the ninja from the medical department. It is our Captain Xianzang who is injured, said the Anbu ninja. But Kakashi walked to the front of the medical ninja first, grabbed his arm, and dragged him in front of Tianyu. Tenzang only suffered some superficial injuries. Don't worry, you should check the child's body first, Kakashi said anxiously. Yamato. Head. Your attitude makes me too sad, right? After all, I am one of the only 3 people at the level of the chief minister in our Anbu. I am your capable subordinate. Now I am injured. Are you not in a hurry? At this time, Tianyu was also confused, and then he took a half step back, frowned and said, I am not injured, why do you want to check my body? Kakashi completely ignored Tianyu's refusal attitude. He said seriously, it's okay, Mingayu. I know it's not easy for you to support yourself and stand here now. You have already won this test, and your strength has been recognized by all of us, so you don't have to be stubborn anymore. Kakashi patted Tianyu on the shoulder and said in a serious tone. Question mark? Why am I being stubborn? Tianyu was immediately filled with question marks, and then he said with a helpless expression, I'm not showing off, I'm really not injured. Kakashi was unmoved by what Tianyu said, and said very seriously, you have even learned the 8 gates of ninjutsu, don't you even know your own physical condition? When the 8 gates of ninjutsu is open to the 4th gate, the injury gate, it will cause damage to your body. And you have just opened the 5th gate, and forcibly burst out a powerful chakra, which can cause serious damage to your body. If you don't get treatment in time, leaving those hidden injuries in your body will affect your future ninja career. Tianyu spread his hands helplessly, with an innocent expression on his face and said, but I opened the 8 gates of ninjutsu to the 5th gate, and it didn't cause any damage to my body, and I didn't feel any pain or any negative effects. Even if the 8 gates are open to the 5th gate, wait, what did you say? Kakashi paused, then his face was full of shock, and he repeated, you mean, if you open the 5th gate of the 8 gates, it will not cause any damage to the body? And you will not feel any pain or negative effects? Tianyu nodded. Kakashi had a bit of distrust on his face, shook his head and denied, no, it's impossible. Even if it's that guy Akai, when he opens the 5th gate, he will feel pain all over his body because his capillaries are broken by chakra. Tianyu interrupted him and chuckled, just because teacher Akai can't do it doesn't mean I can't do it either. He looked at Kakashi who still had an expression of disbelief, and simply pulled the medical ninja to his side, rolled up his sleeves and ordered, then you can check it for me. The medical ninja was very dedicated to helping Tianyu check it thoroughly, and then he gave the same answer as Tianyu said before. There is indeed no damage to his body. The medical ninja nodded, then turned around to treat Yamato who had some skin injuries. Kakashi was stunned for a moment, and blurted out, how is it possible? Tianyu smiled and explained, Minister, now you believe it, right? So far, I have opened 5 of the 8 gates, and my body has no negative effects at all. Did you research this yourself? Kakashi was surprised, and couldn't help but look at Tianyu with new eyes again. No, this is the result of my training researched by teacher Akai and I. Tianyu shook his head and said seriously. Kakashi sighed and said to himself, before, Akai told me that he had accepted an apprentice who was extremely talented and was a genius that was rare in hundreds of years. At that time, I didn't believe it. With a bitter smile on his lips, he sighed, now it seems that he has indeed met a genius boy who is rare in 1,000 years. This strength and character, let alone me, even my teacher, the 4th Hokage, would be full of praise, right? Kakashi couldn't help but feel a little regretful, and a little envious of my guy. He regretted it because Mr. Xiangshan, Tianyu's father, once told him that he hoped he could give his son some advice, but he refused without hesitation because Mr. Xiangshan was a commoner and it would be a waste of his time to instruct his son. But he never expected that this boy named Tianyu would be so talented. He envied because his good friend Might Guy became Tianyu's teacher. First of all, with such a powerful disciple, Might Guy's own reputation and status would also be well known in the village. Moreover, Tianyu was not only able to perfectly inherit Might Guy's unique skills, but he and Might Guy even improved this forbidden technique together, reducing the damage caused by this forbidden technique to the body. Such a change may even be enough to make the 8 gates of ninjutsu out of the scope of forbidden techniques, and become a powerful ninjutsu that can instantly burst out with powerful strength without paying too much price. Kakashi can already foresee in his heart that in the near future, Tianyu, this talented young man, will definitely make the 8 Gates ninjutsu famous throughout the ninja world at some appropriate time. Chapter 59 Chakra Crystal Stone. Tianyu walked in front of Kakashi and asked, "Can I directly take up the position of captain of the Anbu team now?" Kakashi nodded and said, "Of course, in terms of strength, your strength has completely surpassed the position of captain of the Anbu team, and is even stronger than the captain of the second assassination unit, Xianzang. There are not many people in the entire Anbu who are stronger than you. But in terms of experience in executing tasks, you are still lacking for the time being, so now I can only appoint you as the captain of the assassination team of the third assassination unit. Are you satisfied with this result?" Tianyu nodded indifferently and said casually, "Okay. Anyway, as long as he becomes a captain, he doesn't have to do those boring things like running errands, patrolling, etc. Instead, he can choose to take some assassination tasks independently and earn mission merits and commissions. Such rights are no different from those of ordinary jonin." After Tianyu was promoted to the captain of the third assassination unit, he didn't get busy immediately. The Anbu still needs some time to dispatch some suitable Anbu personnel to his subordinates, and only after forming a complete 4-person team can they start to carry out the mission. Tianyu had no objection to this. The news that there was a guy codenamed Mingayu in the Anbu quickly spread among the major families in Konoha village. The secret that he had just entered the Anbu and defeated the captain of the second assassination team, Xianzang, spread like wildfire among the major families. First of all, the battle between Tianyu and Yamato was not a secret, so there was no requirement to keep it secret. Secondly, the major families wanted their disciples to enter the Anbu in order to take the lead in being well informed, to gain insight into the tense trend in the village, and to facilitate themselves to obtain first-hand and accurate information. Therefore, in the next few days, Tianyu had received many invitations from major families, who wanted to maintain a good relationship with Tianyu. They all realized that a genius boy was about to rise in Konoha village. Compared to Hyuga Niji, who is the most popular among the previous Jinan, the ninjas of commoner origin like Mingyu who could join the Anbu were the best targets for them to win over. However, Tianyu had no interest in these things. He threw a lot of invitations into the furnace, burning and jumping into a pile of ashes jumping in the air. During this period, Tianyu told his father Xianxian about what the Hokage had done by giving the weapons order to their family. Xianxian was naturally overjoyed, his eyes shining. This is a big business. If this business is done well, then their family will not have to worry about business matters in the future. Even if they do nothing every day, there will be a lot of money in the store every day. After Xianxian was overjoyed, he expressed strong support for Xianyu's idea of improving his strength or making ninja tools. He even waved his hand and generously said that if Tianyu needed any ore or materials, just give it to him, and his father would definitely help him get it. It just so happened that Tianyu had been busy collecting materials recently. After hearing his father's promise, he instantly became happy. Soon, Xianxian regretted the big words he had just said. Because his beloved eldest son immediately took out a small stack of scrolls full of words from the room and handed them to him. Why not just one scroll, but a stack of scrolls? Because one scroll is not enough to write. When Xianxian opened those scrolls, he almost fainted when he saw the densely recorded materials on them. And when he took the list of those materials out to buy them, he almost cried. In order to get these materials together, he actually spent most of their family's belongings. If Tianyu hadn't negotiated the business with a Hokage, the purchase of materials this time would have been enough to bankrupt Tianyu's family's weapons. However, although he felt very painful, he still helped Tianyu buy the materials with tears in his eyes, which was considered a strong support for his son. "Thanks, Dad." Looking at the several trucks full of materials and his father who looked a lot more haggard, Tianyu laughed and walked up to him and gave him a big hug. Xianxian was moved to tears. "It's worth it, it's all worth it." After collecting all the materials, Tianyu locked himself in the room. Every day, he followed teacher Might Guy out of the village to perform tasks. His parents were also busy preparing for the big business that they took over from the Hokage. They were very busy. During this period of time, no one would disturb him. So Tianyu also closed his eyes and began his practice at this stage. In his system, He recently obtained several high-quality blueprints, waiting for him to forge. Name: Chakra Crystal Stone Forging Blueprint. Forging difficulty: Skill, disposable item, can be used to store chakra. After the crystal stone is crushed, the chakra stored in it will be automatically absorbed. This time, when Tianyu was fighting with Yamato last time, he completed the task of absorbing the wood release chakra required by the system, and the blueprint rewarded by the system. It turned out to be a crystal stone that can store chakra. The important role of chakra in battle is self-evident. Most ninjas cannot release ninjutsu at will in battle due to the limitation of their own chakra. Therefore, Naruto, who is a member of the Uzumaki clan, plus the chakra of the Nine Tails, will become the protagonist's weapon. After Tianyu has the crystal stone, he doesn't have to worry about his chakra being consumed by releasing ninjutsu. As long as there are enough of these crystal stones to constantly replenish his chakra, he will have the ability to fight for a long time in battle. This is a good thing. Although the difficulty of forging is not high, it is just a third-grade ninja tool, and the types of materials required are not too many, only a dozen. But this crystal stone is a one-time consumable. Tianyu feels that he needs to make a lot of crystal stones as a backup. Then set a small goal for forging first 100 crystal stones. Of course, with so many crystal stones, Tianyu didn't need to spend time forging them one by one. At this time, when he upgraded from a junior blacksmith to an intermediate blacksmith, the benefits of the forging table rewarded by the system were revealed. He only needed to spend 2 or 3 hours to successfully forge a chakra crystal stone. The forging table could replicate his previous forging process. Later, he only needed to put in the corresponding materials, and the forging table would automatically complete it. A few hours later, Tianyu held a sparkling blue crystal core in his hand. Forging is successful. Forging a chakra crystal stone with a 3-star difficulty is not difficult for Tianyu now, except that it takes a little time. Looking at the azure blue crystal core in his hand, which looks like a sapphire, Tianyu tried to inject his own chakra into it. The crystal stone itself does not have chakra. It only has the function of storing chakra, which is similar to the function of a disposable power bank. Before using the crystal stone, the user must first fill the crystal stone with his own chakra before it can be used. It can store chakra. Tianyu's eyes lit up instantly, and then he increased his chakra input. After the blue chakra was injected into the crystal stone, it immediately turned into a dark cotton-like shape, filling the inside of the crystal stone, making the color of the crystal stone darker than before. Tianyu's current chakra is not very large because of his age. His current chakra level is about the same as that of an ordinary jonin. If he uses a ninjutsu with a level lethality, he can only release it 3 times. So in the battle, he uses tricks like the 8 gates of ninjutsu, not entirely to strengthen his physical skills, but more to expand his chakra amount, bursting out a large amount of chakra in an extreme time for him to use ninjutsu. With his chakra crystal stone, Tianyu is confident that if he is allowed to fight Yamato again, he doesn't even need to open the 8 gates of ninjutsu, and the ninja tools he made are enough to chop that guy. Chapter 60 Forging as Enpakudo. After Tianyu injected his chakra into the crystal stone little by little, the color of the crystal stone became deeper, like the color of sapphire. It was not until Tianyu's chakra was almost consumed that only 1/10 or 1/12 of it remained, that Tianyu finally felt that the chakra crystal stone in his hand was full. It could store almost the amount of chakra of a jonin-level ninja. Tianyu felt a little surprised. He instantly thought of a ninjutsu, Tsunade's yin seal. The yin seal is to accumulate chakra on the forehead at ordinary times, and at the same time, a diamond-shaped mark will be formed on the forehead. When needed, the seal is released through the seal release ninjutsu yin seal release to release a large amount of chakra. The yin seal is the premise for Tsunade to release the 2 forbidden medical ninjutsu, creation regeneration and 100 healings technique, and provides a large amount of chakra for these 2 forbidden techniques. The yin seal is an S-level auxiliary ninjutsu, and the chakra crystal stone in Tianyu's hand obviously achieved the same effect as the yin seal easily. And it is more convenient to use. Tianyu put the forged chakra crystal stone into the forging table, and then put the other materials needed for forging the chakra crystal stone into it. The forging table began to automatically forge the chakra crystal stone in the same way as Tianyu's previous forging method. Tianyu was already sitting cross-legged on the side, closing his eyes and began to digest another forging blueprint in his mind. The blueprint of the 6-star difficulty Zanpakuto, Dagyoran Orinmuru. After Tianyu memorized every detail of the forging, he suddenly opened his eyes, then strode to the forging table and picked up the hammer in his hand. The flame was lit, and the forging table became red due to the burning of the scorching high temperature. Tianyu had already prepared the hundreds of forging materials one by one, and even recorded their corresponding numbers on each forging material. Number 1 Tiantian black iron, number 2 ice crystal stone, number 3 cloud crystal ore, number 4. If a merchant saw these materials that Tianyu used for forging, they would definitely scream and go crazy, because each of these materials is very precious, and there are even many materials that cannot be calculated by money, which are enough to make people's eyes full of golden light and dizzy. Only Tianyu's father, Tiantian, a wealthy businessman, can gather so many materials that Tianyu needs in such a short time. There are even several materials that are not sold on the market at all, and they must be found on the black market. Tianyu began to put these minerals into the forging table one by one. The flames were swallowed and the whole forging table was red. Under high temperature, it was burned into a substance like a solution, emitting a brilliant light in the air. At the same time, Tianyu also injected his chakra into it, wrapped each different mineral with chakra, and then pulled it into shape like a silk thread, and the same material solution was intertwined in the air. As early as 4 years ago, after Tianyu was promoted from a junior blacksmith to an intermediate blacksmith, his forging skills had completely surpassed the forging level in the Naruto world. Even if the Iron Country's most sophisticated and powerful technology in forging ninja tools and the most craftsman-spirited, Mifune, I am afraid that in terms of forging skills, he is completely incomparable to Tianyu. And now Tianyu attaches great importance to this Zanpakuto, which he has to use 200% of his mental power. It can be completely classified as a divine weapon. I am afraid that only the 6 paths ninja tools in the Naruto world can be comparable to it. Ha! Tianyu shouted loudly, and the hammer in his hand smashed down fiercely. His eyes were as calm as water, and there was no ripples. Only the heavy hammer in his hand smashed down again and again. He shouted a few more times and waved to several materials in the distance. The released chakra immediately wrapped those materials, flew towards him, fell on the forging table, and then melted into a solution under high temperature. After being forged by a heavy hammer, some impurities in the original minerals were removed one by one, and the color of the minerals themselves was completely covered. After being extracted and calcined by flames, they became a particularly crystal clear sky blue, as bright and moving as the crystals on the bottom of the sea. Such solutions constantly gathered together and entered the forged sword body of a long sword, like a sky blue brocade, slowly blending into the middle of the ice blue sword body. This scene was really gorgeous, like a wonder. As one material after another was constantly forged, burned, reattributed, and filled with this sword body, the prototype of the entire sword body had already emerged. The ice blue sword body flashed with silver-white light, as if it came from the extreme north of the ice and snow. Tianyu's mouth corners slightly raised, and he was already a little impatient in his heart. Although it was the first time that Tianyu forged a weapon of 6-star difficulty, he had already reached the level of perfection in forging skills. The only thing that made Tianyu feel a little tricky was probably the consumption of mental power during the forging process. The more difficult the weapon is to forge, the more complicated the forging steps become. For example, this Zanpakuto Dagyoran Orinmuru has hundreds of materials for forging, and the forging, quenching, and extraction process has as many as thousands of steps. Each step must be perfect, and the entire forging process must be completed in one go to forge the most perfect weapon. This requires a very high mental strength of the forger. Even with Tianyu's current strength, when forging to the last critical moment, he felt dizzy and the sharp pain of mental deficiency spread from his mind. Close it for me. Tianyu gritted his teeth and smashed the heavy hammer in his hand. He endured the pain like a needle in his mind and stood on his forging table with bloodshot eyes, not allowing any mistakes. Suddenly, a wave of energy suddenly came from the forging table. It was a terrible energy coming from the inside of the weapon. When this energy appeared, it also meant that the weapon was completed. Tianyu heaved a sigh of relief. After concentrating all his attention, he suddenly relaxed. The fatigue in his whole body surged into his mind like a tide. He didn't even have time to check the Zanpakuto he had successfully forged. He quickly exited his spiritual space. Then his eyes went dark and he fell directly on his bed and fell asleep. When he woke up, it was 3 days later. When he opened his eyes again, he saw a vast expanse of white in front of him. The scene in front of him gradually became clear, and then he realized that the vast expanse of white just now was actually the ceiling. At this time, there was an IV drip on his right hand. He woke up and found himself lying in a ninja hospital. What happened? When Tianyu was wondering, he heard a loud shout beside him, "Brother! Brother is awake!" Tiantian was the first to rush over. He hugged him on the bed and cried, "Brother, you finally woke up. Do you know that we were worried to death?" Tianyu rolled his eyes and wanted to push Tiantian away. "You are hugging me so tightly, are you trying to strangle me to death? You are murdering your own brother." But Tianyu realized at this time that he couldn't do it at all. He didn't have any strength in his body and couldn't even push Tiantian away. It was the mother Keiko who came over, pulled Tiantian away, and said softly, "Your brother just woke up, and his body is weak. Don't hold him like this." Then she ordered Tiantian in an orderly manner, "Tiantian, go and get a glass of water, and then bring the prepared food. Your brother hasn't eaten for 3 days, and he must be very hungry." Tiantian nodded obediently, "Okay, I'll go now." After drinking some water and eating some food, Tianyu felt that his body had recovered some strength. Tianyu, who knew about his current physical condition, was a little amused for a while. He didn't expect that he had consumed too much mental energy when forging a Zanpakuto, causing a serious loss of mental energy, so he slept in bed for 3 days. The family members who didn't know why, because they saw that he didn't wake up for a long time, were so worried that they sent him directly to the ninja hospital. Chapter 61 Enbu Team. Although Tianyu had long felt that there was nothing wrong with his body, it was just that his mental energy was overconsumed and he would be able to recover after a few days of sleep, but under the concerned request of his family, Tianyu still stayed in the ninja hospital for 2 or 3 days until the doctor checked him and made sure that he was in good health, and then he left the hospital. The next day after leaving the ninja hospital, Tianyu received a notice from the Anbu that his team had been supplemented with 3 Anbu members. After their team was assembled, they could go on the mission. So, he changed into the clothes of the Anbu, put on his fox mask, and quickly came to the Anbu headquarters to meet the 3 members under him, the captain of the Anbu. Their code names are Hikaru, Haru and Shima. 2 men and 1 woman, the standard configuration of the Konoha ninja team. Except for the one codenamed Hikaru who is a female ninja, the 2 codenamed Haru and Shima are both men. The 3 of them had just joined the Anbu not long ago and were assigned to Tianyu after training. After being selected to join the Anbu, normal ninjas will have a unified training process. Only those who pass the selection will truly enter the Anbu and become formal members of the Anbu. However, because Tianyu's situation is special, he was directly recruited by the Hokage, so he did not participate in the unified training, but was directly assessed by the Anbu minister Kakashi. At this time, in the Anbu's base, Hikaru, Haru and Shima, looking at the Captain Mingayu who was a little shorter than themselves and only 12 years old, the scene at that time was awkward for a while. "Are you Captain Mingayu?" It was the girl codenamed Hikaru who broke the awkwardness first. "Yes." Tianyu nodded, and then said very concisely, "Follow me." Hikaru, Haru and Shima were behind Tianyu, and then he took them to an open place in the Anbu base and took off the mask on his face. Under the mask, a very handsome and somewhat immature face was revealed. Generally speaking, Anbu ninjas are only required to wear masks to conceal their identities when they are on a mission. Some Anbu ninjas are too lazy to take off their masks when they return to the Anbu to hand over their missions. Over time, most ninjas wear masks in the Anbu. However, before Tianyu leads them to perform their missions, he must first have a preliminary understanding of them, so he took off the mask on his face. Hikaru quickly covered her mouth to prevent herself from exclaiming, "Captain Mingayu is too handsome, isn't he?" Although she had heard some things about Mingayu in the Anbu a long time ago, and she also knew that he was only 12 years old this year. But, she really didn't expect Captain Mingayu to be so handsome. It's a pity to wear a mask on such a handsome and beautiful face. Hikaru couldn't help thinking so in her heart. As the captain of this team, I need to introduce myself first. My name is Tianyu, I am 12 years old this year, and my code name in the Anbu is Mingayu. You will call me by this code name from now on. The ninjutsu I am good at is physical skills and the manipulation of ninja tools. When you introduce yourself, please also explain the direction of your ninjutsu, so that it will be more convenient for us to cooperate with each other in the subsequent battles. Although their captain is not very old, his style of speaking and acting is unusually calm and imposing. At this moment, the three of them couldn't help but have such thoughts in their minds at the same time. Then, Hikaru, Haru and Deodeo took off their masks at the same time, revealing the faces with youthful breath under the masks. The man with the code name of Hideo was the first to stand up and said, "My name is Hyuga Shinobu. I am 22 years old this year. Code name is Hideo. I am a ninja from the Hyuga clan. I have the Byakugan, and I am good at jutsu and reconnaissance." Then the man with the code name of Quing said, "My name is Aburame. I am 20 years old this year. Code name is Quing. I am from the Aburame clan. I am good at controlling insects and reconnaissance." Finally, the female ninja code name of Hikaru stood up and said in a very gentle voice, "My name is Gecko Aoi. I am 17 years old this year. Code name is Hikaru. I was born in the Gecko clan. I have the bloodline limit of the transparent escape. I am also good at reconnaissance, and my physical skills are good at swordsmanship." He did have some knowledge of the Hyuga clan and the Aburame clan, but he didn't know much about the Gecko clan except for the consumptive Gecko Hay-8 who flash by in the original book. "What is your relationship with the Jonin Gecko Hay-8?" Tianyu asked casually. "Huh? Captain, you actually know my brother." Moonlight Doi curved her lips, revealing two very cute little canine teeth, and said with a smile, "I am Moonlight Gale's biological sister." "So that's it." Tianyu nodded secretly, and didn't say anything else. It doesn't matter who they are. Anyway, in his team, just obey his orders. Then Tianyu went to the mission department and received the mission. Because it was a newly established team, the Anbu stipulated that the first mission performed by the team could not exceed B level, so Tianyu could only receive a B level mission scroll. Of course, in fact, he wanted to receive an A level mission more. It seems that he can only put this idea aside for the time being. Everyone is a ninja with good strength. I won't give you time to cooperate and train. I think actual combat is the best way to run in. I have already received the mission, so let's set off now. Tianyu's eyes were filled with a trace of calmness and solemnity. The three of them, Hike, had heard of Tianyu's strength. Not long ago, he had defeated Xianzang, the captain of the second assassination unit. So they didn't dare to be disrespectful or question this young captain. They all lowered their heads and said in unison, "Yes, Captain." Tianyu put on his mask again, and a barely perceptible smile appeared on his lips. Sure enough, the previous battle between him and Yamato was very effective. After letting everyone know his strength, it really saved a lot of trouble. Before those people wanted to question themselves, they had to consider whether their fists could beat his strength. Just like the three members of his team now, they knew very well that they were definitely not Tianyu's opponents, so they didn't dare to have any objections. Yes, it seems that among the three people under his command, there is no fool who doesn't know the height of the world. Tianyu was very satisfied with the personnel configuration of this team. Judging from the personnel in this group, it is undoubtedly the top leaders of the village who have begun to notice him, so they have allocated him some good manpower resources. The Hyuga clan, the Aburame clan, and the Gecko clan, all three of them are ninjas from big families, and they are all very good at reconnaissance. With the presence of these three, even if Tianyu does not release the mechanical mouse, it is enough to detect the situation within a few kilometers. If you find that something is wrong, you can also choose to lead the team to evacuate at the first time to ensure the survival rate of the entire team. For other Anbu teams, it is a luxury to want to configure a perception ninja to improve the survival rate of the team. As a result, Tianyu's team directly equipped him with 3 people. It seems that after seeing his strength, Kakashi did have more thoughts on cultivating him. Okay, bring all the dry food and prepare the ninja tools, then let's go. Before leaving, Tianyu said to his men, during the mission, you must stay alert at all times and not let anything affect your mentality. Keeping calm is the first priority for being an Anbu ninja. If your performance in this mission is not enough to satisfy me, just get out of my team. There will be no trash in my team. Okay, let's go now. Unknowingly, Tianyu had acquired the powerful aura of a superior. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Mission, Soup Country. A few days later, Tianyu brought his Anbu team to the Kingdom of Hot Springs. The spies planted by Konoha in the Kingdom of Hot Springs had not reported back any information normally for 3 months. Tianyu's mission this time was to find out what the situation was with the spies in the Kingdom of Hot Springs. As the captain of the Anbu, Tianyu also did his homework before setting off. For the spies in the Kingdom of Hot Springs in this mission, it is very likely that something has happened to the spies if they do not report back to the village normally. The Kingdom of Hot Springs is not far to the east of the Kingdom of Fire. The country itself is weak, and it is much safer than traveling to other places. But Tianyu did not completely underestimate this mission. After carefully instructing the members of his Anbu team, they rushed directly to the secret base in the Kingdom of Hot Springs to meet with the spies. On the edge of the famous Hot Spring Street in the Kingdom of Hot Springs, in a wooden tavern, Tianyu found a table with Hikaru, Haru and Koma and sat down. Soon a waiter came to greet them. "Give me a hot spring egg," Tianyu said. "I want the kind with runny egg white and solidified yolk." The clerk heard this and smiled twitchingly. "Sir, you are joking. How can this hot spring egg have solidified yolk and runny egg white?" Tianyu was about to answer, but Queen beside him spoke first. "Let's go. It doesn't seem to be here." Tianyu grabbed him and motioned Queen to sit down. He smiled at the clerk. "There's indeed such a hot spring egg, but not many people have seen it. You are young, so it's not your fault that you haven't heard of it. Can you help me invite your boss here?" "Okay, please wait a moment." The clerk replied and hurriedly walked deep into the store. Hot spring egg. Runny egg white. Solidified egg yolk. This is the contact code that Konoha and the spies lurking in the Kingdom of Hot Springs have been using for a while. The contact place is near the Hot Spring Street of the Kingdom of Hot Springs. Asking for a hot spring egg with strange requirements here will not attract the other party's attention, even if you find the wrong contact person. If the other party did not receive the signal and immediately stood up and left, it would increase the other party's suspicion of them. And the meeting place is here, and here is the greatest chance to contact the contact person. Sorry, our store has never heard of any hot spring egg with runny egg white and cooked yolk. After a while, a middle-aged man led by the clerk came to Tianyu's table. "Team Tianyu, let's go. We came to the wrong store, let's change to another store." Hearing the shopkeeper say so, Hikaru couldn't help but stand up and wanted to leave. In front of him, the shopkeeper of the store bowed repeatedly to apologize. Sorry, I neglected you all." Tianyu's eyes flashed. "Forget it, then make the hot spring eggs you can make." After that, he appeased the Anbu members again and motioned them to sit down. Tianyu saw the shopkeeper who bowed repeatedly secretly made a gesture to match the signal. When motioning the team members to sit down, Tianyu also responded to the boss with a connection gesture. "Dear guests, please wait a moment." After a while, a normal hot spring egg was served. After eating, the shopkeeper invited Tianyu and his companions over, and jokingly said the words of the connection code. Tianyu also said the following code words while joking, and the shop owner also matched them one by one. The contact person found it. It's the shop owner. After both parties confirmed their identities, the shop owner apologized to Tianyu. "Sorry. The wind is too tight recently, I have to be more cautious." Tianyu frowned, and then asked, "Konoha has not received your normal reporting information for 3 months, what's going on?" "This is it." The shop owner began to tell Tianyu and his companions about their current situation. Recently, a mysterious force suddenly appeared in the Kingdom of Hot Springs, and opened a very lucrative casino in the Kingdom of Hot Springs. Facing the mysterious casino that suddenly appeared, Konoha spies also need to find out the origin of this casino. But, after going to the casino, the spy could only order some food when he came back to the store, but he no longer exchanged information with him, let alone talk about any situation, and he was like a stranger to the store owner. Something happened. The store owner guessed that the spy was likely controlled by the mysterious casino. After that, there were more and more strange customers in the store, and all kinds of random gestures were made to him, and all kinds of contact codes that did not match followed. In this process, occasionally 1 or 2 people would accidentally say part of the code, and then the rest of the code was all wrong. So the store owner became cautious. Seeing Tianyu coming, he did not dare to relax his vigilance when he answered a code correctly and made the corresponding gestures. He went back and forth with Tianyu in a joking way until all the codes were correct before he relaxed. Of course, there was another reason why the store owner did not relax in the complicated contact codes. That was the contact person Tianyu. Because Tianyu was too young, until all the codes were answered correctly, he really did not dare to be sure that Tianyu, who still looked young in front of him, was the contact person. Mysterious force. Casino Tianyu pondered after hearing the store owner's information. How strong is our captured person? Tianyu was referring to the spy. The store owner immediately responded, he is currently an elite chunin, but his strength is comparable to Jonin. Jonin. Tianyu fell into deep thought again. Seeing Tianyu like this, Hikaru couldn't help but blink her big eyes and asked, Captain, what are you thinking about? Team captain. He is the captain. The store owner was stunned. Hikaru turned to look at the store owner and nodded naively, yes, he is the captain of our team. The store owner was speechless. With all the secret codes matched, he accepted that Tianyu was the Anbu member sent by Konoha to contact. Although the person who contacted him was Tianyu and the person who talked to him was Tianyu, but what's the matter with the captain? The boy in front of him looked no more than 15 years old, right? Exclamation mark. Such a young Anbu captain? Exclamation mark. The store owner's eyes began to wander, and he subconsciously took 2 steps back, separating himself from Tianyu and his group. He seemed to be thinking about something. All the ninjas in the Anbu were elites. As a member of the Anbu, Hikaru saw through the shop owner's mind at once. Hey, boss, don't be afraid. We are really from Konoha, otherwise how could the codes match? Although Captain Aim is only 12 years old, he is indeed our captain. Please rest assured that Captain Aim does have the strength of an elite Jonin. Hikaru teased. As a member of the Anbu, they are not only elite, but also have some courses specially open for them to observe each other's expressions and actions to analyze each other's thoughts. The shop owner was incoherent for a long time before bowing to Aim and said, Sorry, Lord Aim, it's my fault to question your identity. Aim raised his head from his contemplation and smiled at the shop owner, It's okay. Taking a deep breath, the shop owner made himself accept the fact that he was a 12-year-old Anbu captain, and said, Lord Aim, what should we do now? Aim paused for a moment and put forward 3 plans. First, we should rush into the mysterious casino and rescue our companions. Second, we should take it slow and sneak into the mysterious casino first, find out the details of the casino and then rescue our companions. Third, we should plan before we act, return to Konoha, report the situation here to the Hokage, and then the Hokage will decide to send people to contact the mysterious casino in the land of hot springs. As soon as Tianyu finished speaking, the atmosphere immediately exploded. His Anbu member Quing immediately rejected the third option. How could we choose the third option? We are the help sent by Konoha. How can we know that our companions are in dire straits and not help them? After hearing Tianyu's third option, Quing was very dissatisfied with Tianyu, and her words were full of gunpowder, as if she was about to explode. Hideo also spoke up, I also think the third option is not appropriate. We can choose between the first and second options without considering this option. He also agreed with Quing's point of view, but he didn't want Quing to explode as much. Hikaru didn't say anything, but she stared at Tianyu intently. Chapter 63 Casino. The rules of the Anbu are extremely strict, and the rules and regulations are even more so when the Anbu is operating outside. As the captain of the Anbu, Tianyu's decision in this mission is above everyone else, and everyone in the Anbu team must obey his orders. In the Yasuhiguo tavern, Tianyu looked at the people in front of him and sighed. Quing seemed to have eaten dynamite, and Tianyu didn't get angry with him for his dissatisfied attitude. Did you get something wrong? Our mission is to find out why the Yasuhiguo spies didn't report intelligence to the village normally, instead of rescuing their companions. As a ninja, especially an Anbu ninja, can't you tell the mission clearly? Humph, Hideo, let's go. Quing shouted angrily, asking Hideo and the Anbu team to leave together. In their opinion, Tianyu chose the third option, a plan they were not optimistic about. Captain Tianyu, they. Seeing the 2 team members leave, Hikaru hurried to Tianyu's side to persuade him. Tianyu waved his hand, it's okay, they should have gone back to the hotel. When they arrived at the land of hot springs, it was already late. Tianyu had booked a room with them at a nearby hotel before leading the Anbu team to meet. As the store owner said, the companion controlled by the mysterious casino has the combat power of a Jonin. Controlling a living Jonin is much more difficult than killing one. Even if we want to take action against this casino, we can't act rashly. The power and strength of this casino will definitely not be weak. After saying that, Tianyu looked at the direction where Qing and Hideo left, and sighed. Young people are still impatient. Huh? The store owner was stunned, and Hiku on the side was also at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Captain, you are the youngest in our team. Shaking his head, Tianyu did not respond to Hiku's words, and stood up and walked out of the tavern. The longer we stay here, the easier it is to be exposed. Let's go back to the hotel to rest. Yes, Captain Tianyu. After obeying, Hiku followed Tianyu back to the hotel. That night, the moon was bright and the stars were sparse. Tianyu lay on the bed and stared at the roof in a daze. He was still a little entangled. To be honest, he really wanted to choose the third option. Their mission this time was just to find out why the spy did not report the information normally. Now they have completed the mission. As for saving the spy, Tianyu's intuition told him not to get involved in these troubles. As a time traveler, Tianyu knew the White Fang very well. If he did not do it well, it is very likely that the result of the White Fang before would be his future. Putting aside these special ninja tools, Tianyu had the power of an elite Jonin at the age of 12 and served as the captain of the Anbu. When his news spread, some people in Konoha would definitely watch his every move, and would bite him to death if he made a mistake. This is by no means alarmist. Konoha really has such people. For example, Shimura Danzo. Tianyu really wanted to choose the third option. His reason also told him that if he didn't want to get himself into trouble in the future, choosing the third option would be absolutely fine. But, born in this world, live here. In front of him was a Konoha ninja who worked hard for the village and did not participate in any Konoha conspiracy. A ninja from the same village who was conscientious in his duties was controlled by the mysterious casino. Tianyu was still a little entangled after all. He really didn't know how to make a choice. Hideo. The bright moon was hanging high in the sky. The Konoha Anbu ninja code-named Qing tiptoed to the room of his companion and called softly. Qing. Why are you looking for me at this time? Hideo, pack up and come with me to break into that casino to save people. Qing, you don't listen to the captain's order. Are you going to violate the rules of the Anbu? Are you crazy? Hideo in the room was full of disbelief. As Anbu ninjas, they knew very well what the fate of those who violated the rules of the Anbu would be. At the least, they would lose their skin, and at the worst, they would die. Qing, don't mention this matter again. Go back quickly. I will pretend that I have never seen you and don't know about this. Zhiya. Hideo closed the door as he said that. Don't. Qing pushed against the door, preventing Hideo from locking him out. Hideo, listen to me Qing, are you crazy? Hideo, keep your voice down, don't wake them up. Hideo looked left and right through the crack in the door, and seeing no unusual noise, he lowered his voice and said to his companion Qing, go back quickly and don't tell me about these things anymore. I won't violate the rules of the Anbu. Hideo, don't be anxious, listen to me. No, Qing, don't get the mission wrong, I won't get involved in this, and I advise you not to act rashly. This will lower the evaluation of our entire Anbu team. Don't you think that if we return to Konoha without saving people, won't this lower the evaluation of everyone in our Anbu team? Hideo, you are also a member of the branch family, you should know. People like us from the branch family have very little support from the family. Now that we can get to this point and become members of the Anbu, it is all our own efforts. Think about it. We rescued the people, we not only completed the mission, but also saved our companions. Returning to Konoha with such a result and a good reputation, won't you be able to get support? This. Hideo was silent. The evening breeze blew, making the night even colder. The cool breeze blew, lifting the hair of Qing at the door, and the caged bird curse seal on his forehead also added a mysterious atmosphere to the night. Okay, I'll go with you. In the end, Hideo gritted his teeth and made a decision. Captain Tianyu. Dong dong dong, the rapid knock on the door sounded, waking up Tianyu who had finally put aside the problem and fell asleep. Is it Hikaru? What's wrong? Tianyu walked over and opened the door for Hikaru. As soon as the door opened, Hikaru gave Tianyu a heavy news. Oh no, Captain Tianyu. Qing and Hideo are gone. With a bang, Tianyu, who had just woken up from sleep, was shocked and lost all his sleepiness. Gone. They didn't go to the casino, did they? Captain, I think so too. Hikaru responded anxiously. No hurry. We haven't confirmed whether they went to the casino to rescue people. Let's go to the meeting point first. They may be there. After a brief exchange, Tianyu took Hikaru out of the hotel and rushed to the tavern in the corner of Unikuni Onsen Street. After finding the owner of the store where they met yesterday, Tianyu's face was very ugly. The members of the Anbu team he was in charge of disobeyed his decision as the captain and really broke into the casino. And not only that, before they broke in, they also came to the tavern and asked the tavern owner about his strength, wanting to invite him to help and break into the casino to rescue people together. Exclamation mark. Fortunately, the tavern owner refused, and the tavern owner also tried to persuade Qing and Deodeo to turn back, but the two didn't listen at all and rushed straight to the casino. Captain, what should we do now? Enter the casino. Tianyu's words were very heavy at this moment, and the mission was completed. If he disobeyed orders with his current two team members and was killed or captured by the enemy, he would be attacked by people with ulterior motives when he returned to Konoha. At this point, he had no choice but to enter the casino and rescue the people. For Tianyu, the only good news is that he doesn't have to worry about making that choice. Okay, Captain, I'll go and get the ninja tools now. Don't make a big fuss, we'll enter the casino as guests. Hayashi was stunned. Tianyu was also explained by Sunflower. Qing and Deodeo want to rescue people, and we are now in the land of hot springs. They will definitely not take it slow and lurk in the casino for a while before taking action, because they are afraid that we will find them. Then they should choose the first option and break in to rescue people. They dare to break in without even evaluating the opponent's strength. They are really two fools. If my guess is correct, the best case scenario for them is that they will be captured, and the worst case scenario is that they will die with a spy. The casino was broken into by the two of them yesterday, so they must be on guard. We can only find another way. Chapter 64666, Big. Take a different approach. What should we do? Hikaru was confused and asked with a silly expression. Tianyu, you'll know when the time comes. Change into plain clothes, don't make a big fuss, let's go. After a while, Tianyu and Hikaru had changed into casual clothes and came to the entrance of the casino according to the instructions of the tavern owner. This casino is located in the center of Unikuni Hot Spring Street, and the building is also very luxurious. As soon as he arrived here, Tianyu saw people coming and going in and out of the casino, and it seemed that the business was very good. Many people entered the casino with great interest, and at the same time, many people walked out of the casino with their heads down. Cheating. Your casino must have cheated, otherwise I wouldn't have lost so thoroughly. Before entering the casino, I heard noisy noises coming from the casino. Get out. If you can't afford it, don't play. Why didn't you say we cheated when you won the other day? How could we cheat and let you win? Get out of here. Our casino doesn't welcome people like you. As they spoke, two tall men carried the man who kept saying that the casino cheated out of the casino. Plop. The man was thrown out of the door by the two men in the casino and fell hard to the ground. I warn you, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. If you slander our casino again, things will be more than that. After saying these harsh words, the two casino staff looked at each other and then turned around and walked back to the casino. When this happened at the entrance of the casino, a group of people immediately surrounded the man who was thrown to the ground to eat melons. Tianyu didn't join in the fun. It was none of his business. And it was the man's own fault to want to get rich overnight in the casino. Let's go in. Captain, that man. Tianyu shook his head. Don't pay attention to that man, he should be an ordinary gambler, you can't get any information from him. As a member of the Anbu, who was instilled with cold knowledge, Hikaru certainly wouldn't think of helping the man who was thrown out of the casino and brought it upon himself. He just wanted to get some information about the casino from him. But Tianyu thought that this man should not have any information. It's not entirely right. At least when he was thrown out by the casino staff, Tianyu also got a piece of information. Tianyu felt a fairly strong chakra fluctuation from the two people just now. The strength of the two people just now was at least the beginning of Chunin. The two people guarding the entrance of the casino, although they also had chakra fluctuations, were far from the strength of Jinan. In the chaotic world of Naruto, when opening a casino, two capable strong men are usually arranged to guard the entrance. After all, there are many strong men in this world. Letting strong men guard is to tell the other party that we are also powerful and don't make trouble. But this casino didn't do that. Not only did it not do that, but it did the opposite, using the weak as a facade. Either the founder of this casino is an idiot, or this casino is showing weakness to the enemy, waiting for them to enter the casino and then rob them. Combined with the intelligence obtained before, the spy with the strength of Konoha Jonin was captured alive without resistance, and this store naturally ruled out the first possibility. This is a store that wants to rob thieves. It is a store that wants to eat both black and white. This casino is a bit deep. Let's go in. Tianyu and Hikaru followed the crowd into the casino. As soon as they entered the door, countless noisy voices were heard. Groups of people gathered in front of the gambling tables, all of them staring at the dice cups with red faces, as if they pinned their hopes and dreams on them. Open. Big big big. After the dice cups were opened, some were happy and some were worried, but both shouted loudly. Cough cough. The pungent smell of macy smoke entered the nose, and Hikaru couldn't help coughing. Are you okay? Tianyu asked, and then took out a white gauze from his bosom and handed it to Rika. Tie this on, it can reduce the pungent smell. Ahem, Tianyu, you are young, don't you feel pungent? Rika took the white gauze and was surprised to see that Tianyu did not feel any discomfort. In this place, Rika called Tianyu by his name. Of course, she could not call Tianyu the captain in public. I'm fine. After responding, he told Rika to stay with him and not to move around. Tianyu found a gambling table with few people and walked straight over. Come on, place your bets, and leave your hands. The gambling method in the casino is very simple. Every table is played by guessing the points. 3 dice, guess the size. Of course, there are other ways to play, such as guessing the exact points, or guessing the same points on the 3 dice. Of course, the probability of the dice having the same points is low, so the payout rate will be many times higher. Tianyu walked to the gambling table but did not place a bet. He led Rika to stay beside the gambling table and watch the gambling table play several rounds. Tianyu, what are we doing? Rika was a little puzzled. She didn't know what their captain was doing. SHH, be quiet. Tianyu stopped Rika from speaking and stayed quietly beside the gambling table. The gambling game on this gambling table went on for 2 more rounds, and the staff member who shook the dice couldn't help but talk to Tianyu. Hey, young man, you have been watching my table for so long, don't you want to play a few rounds? I see you look unfamiliar, it should be your first time to play here. You haven't placed a bet for a long time, and you have been watching me for so long. Are you worried that our casino will do something like cheating? You have watched so many rounds here, and you have a conclusion in your mind. Our casino is not like other cats and dogs casinos. One of the rules of our casino is fairness and transparency, and there will be no cheating. You can play with confidence. The staff member talked to Tianyu. Tianyu still smiled and waited. Okay, then I'll play. After that, Tianyu bet a 2,000 tael note on the big top of the big and small pools. Open, open, open. Open quickly, open. The dice cup has been shaken, and the gamblers on the side urged the staff who shook the dice to open the cup. Okay, open it right away. The staff moved quickly and opened a dice cup. 4, 4, 5, big. Oh, a good start, brother, you're lucky. The staff collected the money for the small pool and paid the guests who bet correctly one by one. When it came to Tianyu, they congratulated Tianyu. Okay, stop yelling, it's time to start the next round. A round of gambling ended, and the people who lost money kept shouting in frustration. The person shaking the dice cup had to speak to make them stop. Click, 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 the dice in the dice cup shook, and with a thud, the dice cup was fixed on the table by the staff. Come on, a new round has begun. Let's not talk about the last round again. Place your bets quickly, and bet on it. Tianyu bet the previous 2,000 taels of paper money and the 2,000 taels he won, a total of 4,000 taels of paper money, on the big and small pools again. Open the dice cup. 3, 5, 6, big. Tianyu won again. The dealer paid Tianyu 4,000 taels. Another round ended, and the staff congratulated Tianyu with a beaming face again. Good luck, brother, you are going to get rich today. The staff member who shook the dice congratulated Tianyu with a smile, as if it was not Tianyu who won the money, but him. Another round began. This time, Tianyu also bet the money he won. But this time, he didn't bet on the big and small pools. Instead, he bet on the leopard pool with the same points on the 3 dice, and it was a point pool. Tianyu bet on the 3-6 leopard point pool with a payout rate of up to 200 times. 8,000 taels all in. 200 times payout rate if he wins. Tianyu will win 1.6 million taels of paper money. Haha, brother, I mean you will get rich today, but are you a little impatient? The staff teased Tianyu, and the guests at the gambling table laughed together. Open it quickly, people give money to your store, don't you want it? Open it. This time it must be small. It's been big for several times in a row, this time it must be small, hurry up and open the cup. Urged by the guests, the staff shaking the dice also laughed. Okay, open it now. Here. The staff waved his hands again, and the movements were so fast that the gamblers couldn't see clearly, and the dice cup was quickly opened. Then, the gamblers at the table were dumbfounded, and the smile on the face of the staff shaking the dice froze. 666, Leopard, Big. Chapter 65. A fat blonde sheep. Looking at the points in the dice cup, Sunflower's mouth opened wide, her face full of disbelief. She turned her head and looked at Tianyu, her big eyes full of doubts. This odds just happened to be hit by the captain? This is too coincidental, isn't it? Exclamation mark. 200 times odds. This guy bet 8,000 taels with a principal, it's 1,600,080 taels. Hiss. Everyone at the gambling table took a breath, and their eyes were all focused on Tianyu. There were also many malicious eyes looking up and down at Tianyu. Obviously, these people had crooked thoughts. Ahem. Everyone, our casino is different from other casinos. I advise you not to mess around. The staff member who shook the dice still kept smiling and admonished the people at the gambling table, but his smiling face twitched from time to time. Then, the casino staff handed a large stack of banknotes to Tianyu with a smile that was uglier than crying. You too, you can go to the second floor to play with your funds. The environment on the second floor is much better than the first floor, and the money you win will not be coveted by others. I suggest that you too go to the second floor to play. The service quality on the second floor is far better than that on the first floor. Of course, the minimum bet on the second floor is 10,000 taels. Please consider it. Tianyu nodded. Take us to the second floor. Okay, wait a moment. After getting Tianyu's answer, the staff member who shook the dice no longer cared about the gambling table, and quickly found someone to take Tianyu to the casino on the second floor, leaving the other gamblers behind. Captain, this casino helps us intimidate those who pay attention to us, and it doesn't look like a place where thieves eat thieves. Is King Island not here? Taking advantage of the fact that there was no one around, Rika carefully came to Tianyu's side and whispered. Do you think there is something wrong with the owner of the tavern we met? It is indeed possible. Tianyu also responded, but this casino is not as honest as you think. The probability that Queen and Haidao were fed and lodged by this casino is much higher. Ah. This casino. Shut up. Tianyu stopped Rika from asking further questions. Because the man who shook the dice brought a clerk over. Are these two going to the second floor? Yes. Please follow me. Tianyu nodded and took Rika to follow the clerk to the second floor. As soon as he stepped out of the casino area on the second floor, he was greeted by a magnificent sight. It was not only the gold on the gambling table that was golden, but also the decorations on the second floor. The noise on the second floor was not loud, and there was no pungent smell of Macy cigarettes. On the contrary, there was a faint fragrance floating in the air, which made people feel relaxed and happy. Hello, welcome to our casino. A pretty female clerk received Tianyu with full etiquette. You can choose any gambling table to play. If you don't have enough cash, you can come to me and show me valuable items for loan. Of course, you can also come to me if you have other needs. As she said this, the pretty female clerk gave Tianyu a tempting look. We don't need any service for the time being. After saying this, Tianyu ignored the receptionist on the second floor and walked into the casino on the second floor with Sunflower. Casino dice people who open casinos are to make money, not to give money. It can be said that no casino in the world is clean. The dice and dice cups in the casino are basically specially made, which can allow the dice shaker to control the points at will. And Tianyu, it happens to be an expert in making. After staying at home for several years, Tianyu is no stranger to these things. Although Tianyu is only 12 years old, but the things that Tianyu makes are not ordinary things. Light shoes, Kusanagi sword, sun wheel knife, and even ice wheel pills. These things can be said to be high-tech gadgets. Special dice are not good enough in front of these black technologies. Tianyu, who has created countless unique instruments, is like a senior mathematician, and the dice that can control the points is like asking Tianyu, an expert, what 1 + 1 equals. This is really not difficult for Tianyu. So Tianyu watched and listened to a few games at the gambling table, and understood the structure of the dice cup clearly. Tianyu, whose forging knowledge is far ahead of the world, even knows this dice cup better than the craftsman who made this special dice cup. Therefore, Tianyu bet on 666 leopard points, which is not luck. Let's go, let's find a gambling table to take a look first. I don't know if the dice cup on the second floor is the same as the dice cup on the first floor. Tianyu plans to identify the structure of the dice cup on the second floor before taking action. Hey, that person. While looking for the gambling table, Tianyu found a person. A person with blonde twin ponytails and a pair of peerless big brother weapons. Ah, she is. Nariawi is a member of Konoha's Anbu, and she couldn't help but exclaim when she saw this person's big brother. Tianyu quickly pulled Aoi, signaling her not to make a sound or move rashly. Let's go to that gambling table. What bad luck, I lost again. Shizune, give me money, I don't believe I can't win today. The golden twin-tailed girl holding a pair of Big Brother's weapons was full of resentment in her voice, and shouted at a black-haired and black-clothed companion beside her. This person was none other than Tsunade. Sama Tsunade, we have no money, you lost it all. Ah. Tsunade was surprised. No money? Lost it all. After a slight pause, Tsunade took out a ring inlaid with a large gem from her clothes and handed it to Shizune. Go to the counter and pawn this thing for money. Shizune panicked. No, Tsunade-sama. This is the emerald ring that Miro-sama passed down to you. You can't pawn it. You really can't pawn it. Seeing that Shizune refused to agree, Tsunade couldn't just go her own way. She smacked her lips, put the ring back in her pocket, fumbled around on her body, and took out a bracelet. Then you can pawn this. Shizune's reaction was even greater. Tsunade-sama, what are you thinking about? You can't pawn this. This is the treasure of the Senju clan that the second Hokage gave to you before he died. Tianyu, who had just walked to the gambling table and heard these conversations, was speechless. Tsunade-sama, the princess of Konoha. She was willing to pawn these items that were of great significance to Konoha. She really deserved to be called a big fat sheep. You can't pawn this, and you can't pawn that? These things are just some small things given by those old guys. They didn't think so much. These things are not that important. Shizune, you are so annoying. Tsunade-sama, but these things really can't be pawned. Tsunade-sama, I have some jewelry left to me by my mother before she died. I will go and pawn these jewelry. Don't pawn your things. Shizune. Tsunade-sama, who was thinking about selling her father's land without any regrets, stopped Shizune with a serious face. The things on you are the items that cannot be pawned. I won't let you pawn them. At this point, Tsunade suddenly stood up. Forget it, I won't play any more. What a lousy place. I won't come here again. Shizune, let's go. Tsunade-sama. Shizune's heart was full of warmth. She knew that her Tsunade-sama still wanted to play, but in order not to let her pawn the relics left by his mother, he gave up the idea of continuing to play. So Shizune also made a decision. Tsunade-sama, I still have 20,000 taels here. This is for our food and accommodation expenses during this period. Tsunade-sama's eyes lit up, and her previous dissatisfaction disappeared completely. She snatched the money from Shizune's hand. Give it to you. Shizune was stunned. She did intend to give Tsunade money, but she only intended to give Tsunade 10,000 taels to satisfy her gambling addiction, and the remaining 10,000 taels would be enough to get by. Tsunade took all the 20,000 taels. But if she was expected to win money from Tsunade, she would only lose everything. This means that for the next period of time, they will be penniless. All the food and accommodation expenses are gone. They will have to live on the streets. Chapter 66 The Big Fat Sheep Who Won the Money. Tsunade, who once again had 20,000 taels of capital, immediately bet 10,000 taels on the small pool of the gambling table. Open. 4, 5, 6, straight, big. Princess Tsunade of Konoha once again lost 10,000 taels. Seeing the points on the dice cup, Tsunade gnashed her teeth. She hadn't won a single hand today. In the last few rounds, she had bet on small several times in a row, but the results were all big, including a leopard. She just couldn't believe it. Could it be that there would be no small hand today? Tsunade reached out and grabbed the last 10,000 taels in her hand, and wanted to bet the money on the small pool again. A slightly childish voice sounded behind her, "Bet big, this time it will be big again." Tsunade turned around and saw a boy of good height but obviously younger standing next to her. The boy bet 100,000 taels of money on the big pool. Tsunade was a little puzzled, but she bet her 10,000 taels on the big pool. "Place your bets, and get ready to open the dice cup," the casino staff shouted, waving his hands in the air above the dice cup. "Ah." Tianyu sighed. He looked at Tsunade, with a hint of pity in his eyes. To be honest, he told Tsunade to bet big not because she was the princess of Konoha, nor did he want to get close to Tsunade. The scene between Tsunade and Shizune just now was too tragic. Seeing that scene just now, Tianyu couldn't bear it. The dice were shaken and fell on the table. The points on each side of the dice were different, and the sound of landing was also slightly different. Tianyu, who was proficient in forging and had the strength of an elite Chunin, had very good ears. He really heard the points on the dice cup just like in a TV series. 3, 5, 5, big. But after telling Tsunade to bet big, the casino staff moved their hands in the air, making small movements dazzling, causing the points on the dice cup to change. Although the casino staff shouted loudly buy and leave, the subtle sound in the dice cup could not escape Tianyu's ears. The points in the dice cup became 222, leopard, small. The store owner who opened the casino must want to make money. In the big and small pools on the gambling table, the small pool has more money bet, and even if Tianyu's 100,000 taels of money bet are added, the amount in the big pool is far less than the amount in the small pool. In this case, it is obvious that the big one was shaken out, and the store owner himself made money steadily, but he changed the points to small through a small trick, making himself lose money. Tsunade's gambling luck, really? Tianyu looked at Tsunade with a complicated look. When encountering such a thing, he could only attribute it to Tsunade's gambling luck. It's really unbelievable. "Hey, kid, why are you looking at me like that?" Tsunade is not an ordinary person. Feeling someone staring at her, she immediately became alert. Looking back, it was the kid who told her to buy big. The moment Tsunade became alert, she defined Tianyu as someone who is against her, and this person looked at her with a strange look in his eyes. "Big sister, your gambling luck is really bad." "Huh?" Tsunade was surprised. At this moment, Tianyu also made a small movement. The gambling table suddenly shook slightly. "Open." 3, 5, 5, big. The casino staff who opened the dice cup was stunned. "It's strange, I clearly changed the points to small. Why didn't it change? Could it be that there was a problem with the mechanism?" The surprise was fleeting, and the casino staff immediately returned to their normal posture to announce the result of the gambling. "Win, win. Shizune, I finally won." After seeing the points on the dice cup, Tsunade was so excited that she almost jumped up. "It's a good luck, Shizune. I have to win back all the money I lost before today." After winning, Tsunade's funds only returned to 20,000 taels, but Tsunade was very excited, and she also let down her guard against Tianyu, who was staring at her with strange eyes because Tsunade listened to this boy and bet big and won this round. "Do you want to continue to win? If you listen to me, I can make you win." Just as the casino staff were busy paying out one by one, Tianyu next to Tsunade said this to her. "If I listen to you, I guarantee to win." Tsunade narrowed her eyes and looked Tianyu up and down. "Boy, you are so arrogant." Tianyu smiled slightly, stood quietly aside, and did not continue to respond to Tsunade. The casino staff was very efficient, and the next round of the gambling table started soon. Click, click, the dice shook in the dice cup, and soon, they fell to the ground. "Place your bets. Bet on it." The casino clerk was sweating profusely this time. He had already opened the big number for 10 consecutive rounds. He kept opening the big number and the casino kept making money. This was not acceptable. In order to avoid gossip, he had to shake out a small number even if the casino lost money. As soon as he finished speaking, he watched the guests in front of the gambling table bet on the small pool, and his heart was bleeding. Especially in this round of gambling, the amount on the big pool was very small. Tianyu bet 200,000 taels of money on the small pool this time, and whispered in the ear of Tsunade, who was hesitating about what to bet, "Buy 222, leopard." Tsunade was skeptical. She wanted to chat with this young man, but if she didn't bet, the game would start. That's it. Tsunade gritted her teeth and bet 10,000 taels on the 222, leopard pool. Anyway, I just listened to this kid and bet big and won 10,000 taels. This time I bet the same 10,000 taels. If I lose, I won't owe this kid a favor. The staff member who shook the dice saw that someone bet on a leopard, and it was an accurate leopard. The corners of his mouth twitched. In the dice cup, he set up 3 leopards with 2s. 10 consecutive bigs, now just an ordinary small. He felt that such a result would still leave a trace of doubt in the gambler mind. So he set up a small pool of leopards. But someone was so lucky that he happened to bet on this accurate leopard. Although he only bet the minimum chip of 10,000 taels, this is a 200-fold odds. Paying 2 million taels, plus the huge amount of the small pool, the store owner of the casino will blame him. He panicked. Okay, ready to reveal the cup. While speaking, he made a small move again, changing the 3 2s in the dice cup into 2 2s and 1 3. Open. The dice cup was opened, and the person shaking the dice was stunned. 2, 2, 2, leopard, small. His mouth was trembling when he said this. I hit it. Tsunade-sama, you hit it. Shizune, who was standing by, saw the result of the dice cup and smiled happily. She put her hands on Tsunade's shoulders and shook her madly. Win. 200 times the odds, I actually hit it. The joy was too strong, causing Tsunade to stagnate. After the result was revealed, Tianyu slowly continued Tsunade's words before the game started. Place a bet with me, and I will let you win. In return, the casino may cause trouble to me later, and you have to help me. If you don't agree, I won't force you. This round is 2 million taels, and you should win back what you lost before. Just stop and leave. Tianyu told Tsunade how to bet before, not because he wanted to tie Tsunade, the Buddha, to his ship, but because he saw that Tsunade and Shizune were too miserable. Helping him win 2 million is the most righteous thing to do. Helping Tsunade win. If Tianyu directly asked Tsunade for help, Tsunade would surely agree. But Tianyu didn't want to do that. Tsunade had no grudges against him, and Tianyu didn't want to morally blackmail others. After that, it was up to Tsunade to make the choice. Tsunade responded to Tianyu, and Tsunade's answer was far beyond Tianyu's expectations. Well, I lost more than 2 million before. Tianyu was ashamed to hear Tsunade's words. More than 2 million. This woman is really a spendthrift. Faced with Tsunade's words, Tianyu didn't know what to say for a while. You lead me to win, and if the casino gives you trouble, I will help you solve the problem. Tsunade continued. Tianyu felt relieved after getting Tsunade's answer. With the help of Tsunade, the 3 ninjas, his action this time was safer. Okay, we'll bet on the big and small pools in a while. Don't bet too much, or it'll attract other people's attention. Okay. With Tianyu's help, she won money. Knowing Tianyu's concerns and Tianyu's mediation, Tsunade reluctantly trusted Tianyu. She was going to win money today. Chapter 67 Negotiation. Go big this time. A gambling game started. Tianyu bet 200,000, and Tsunade followed suit. Open. 336, big. Go small this time. Open. 111, leopard, small. One gambling game after another started. Tianyu and Tsunade won big. The dice shaker was confused. The function of his dice to adjust the points sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. Was there a problem? In the middle of the gambling game, the dice shaker apologized to the gambling table, saying that he had been working too long and it was time to replace him. So a new dice shaker came on stage with another dice cup. After playing a few games, the temporary replacement dice shaker found that his specially made dice also failed? Exclamation mark. Tianyu and Tsunade are still on a long way. As the number of gambling games increased, the people at the gambling table also found that Tianyu and Tsunade were very lucky, so they followed them to place bets. Under the leadership of Tianyu and Tsunade, these people also made a small profit. The casino naturally couldn't watch its money being taken away by gamblers. When Tianyu won an astonishing amount of money, the casino couldn't sit still. "You're cheating." This was the accusation from the dice shaker who secretly controlled the dice points. "Come on, come on. Someone is cheating here, catch him." The dice shaker couldn't stand it anymore, and shouted at the gambling table to call two burly men in the casino to come over. "It's him, this guy is cheating, go catch him." The dice shaker pointed at Tianyu. The two burly men who came had at least the strength of a chunin. The two looked at each other and walked towards Tianyu. "Stop for me." Boom. A surge of chakra gushed out of Tsunade's body, shocking everyone around them and making them dare not act rashly. "Sister, wait a minute, don't be so impulsive." Tianyu spoke from the side, motioning Tsunade to stop. Then he turned his head and looked at the dice shaker. "You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want." Tianyu, who was blamed, was not panicked at all. Instead, he responded calmly, "The dice have been controlled by you. I didn't even touch the dice. If there is any cheating, it should be your casino that is cheating. If the gambler wins money, it is cheating. Are you casino so unreasonable?" Tianyu turned his head and looked at the gambling table. The gamblers who followed him to place bets and won money said freely, "Everyone, we are all playing at this gambling table. Everyone knows whether I have made strange movements or cheated. Today I won money and was accused of cheating by the casino store. Tomorrow you win money, what will the store say?" Tianyu began to sell panic to this group of gamblers. "Yet, we haven't touched the dice, how can they cheat?" "That's right, can you only lose money in your casino and not win money? If you win money, you say others are cheating. Which casino plays like you?" At the beginning, the dice shaker accused Tianyu of cheating, and they slipped away. No one helped Tianyu, because they were afraid of getting into trouble. After Tianyu sold panic, they all panicked. You know, the people at this gambling table won a lot by following Tianyu's bets. After the casino dealt with Tianyu, is it their turn to deal with them? Panic spread, and they were afraid of getting into trouble, so they couldn't let Tianyu fall. "Isn't your casino a black shop? Forget it, I won't come here to play next time." The communication power of one person's words is limited, but the communication power of a group of people's words is very terrifying. Almost all the gamblers at Tianyu's table spoke for Tianyu, and they all stood on the gamblers' standpoint to declare the casino's faults. The neighboring gamblers saw that the gamblers in Tianyu's seat were all complaining about the casino, so they also stopped gambling. The people were talking about something, not for no reason. They thought that there might be something wrong with this casino. One person makes a tree, two people make a forest, and three people make a forest. This is the truth. Under the influence of public opinion, the two chunins called by the dice shaker did not dare to move. If they move rashly, the reputation of the casino will be ruined, and no one will dare to come to the casino to play. If no one plays, their casino will have no income. The casino naturally cannot sit idly by and watch this situation. Tianyu, who had received them before, rushed over to say that other services could be provided. "Everyone, please be quiet. Our casino believes in fairness and openness. We will not slander you for cheating just because you win money. Please rest assured." After saying that, this person gave orders to the two chunins in the casino. Pointing at the dice man who said Tianyu was cheating, he said, "Take him away and lock him up." After several words of comfort, the scene finally quieted down a little. "This guest, I apologize to you on behalf of our casino," the staff member said, and bowed to Tianyu. "This dice man slandered you for cheating, we will punish this staff member. As for the trouble you have caused, our casino will make some compensation for you." As he said, the good-looking casino staff spread his hands and pointed to a remote room in the casino. "Please go over and tell me more." Tianyu squinted his eyes and looked up and down at the receptionist who was talking to him. Of course, Tianyu was not looking at other people's figures, nor was he greedy for other people's bodies. After all, in terms of figure, who can compare with a big fat sheep with blonde hair and twin ponytails next to him? Tianyu did not respond to this person's words for the time being, and turned to the gamblers and said first, everyone, listen to me. I'll go over and talk to the people in the casino. If you don't see me come out later, don't see me appear in this casino. Everyone knows what's going on, but I advise you not to make it public. Don't wait for trouble to come to you." The receptionist twitched his face. "Guest, you are joking. Our casino is not a black shop. How could you not get out? Guest, please come in." After saying that, she immediately signaled Tianyu to go to the remote house again. She was afraid that Tianyu would say something else and leave a bad impression on the guests. Tianyu turned and looked at Tsunade and blinked. Meeting at a gambling table is fate. Can you accompany me for a walk? Tsunade, who won the money, certainly did not forget the agreement. She nodded and followed Tianyu to the remote house in the casino. As soon as they entered the room, chakra fluctuations were everywhere. This was a reception room. There were 4 people from the casino in this room. Judging from the chakra fluctuations, these 4 people were all ninjas at the level of Jonin. As soon as they entered the room, Hike, who was also following Tianyu, took a defensive posture and was ready to fight at any time. "Hike, don't be so nervous." Tianyu stretched out his hand to let Hike relax her guard, and in the eyes of Tsunade and the casino staff, he walked to a seat and sat down. "Let's get straight to the point. I'm from Konoha. Let our people go, and I'll leave immediately and won't cause any more trouble for your casino." The casino staff frowned. They didn't expect Tianyu to be so direct. Hike was also very surprised. Tsunade raised her eyebrows even more. "Konoha? The kid who led her to win without doing anything turned out to be from Konoha." One of the 4 Jonin in the remote house let out a long sigh. "You are so direct. I really didn't know how to respond to you for a while." "What's there to think about?" Tianyu replied. "Your casino makes a lot of money every day, right? If you don't agree to my conditions, I won't appear in front of the gamblers, or I spread the news that your casino is cheating in front of the gamblers. What do you think will happen to your casino business?" Tianyu continued. "Such a big casino, do you think it will lose money if you change 3 people from Konoha?" After Tianyu finished speaking, the atmosphere in the room was quiet. Especially the 4 Jonin in the casino exchanged glances in this terrifyingly quiet atmosphere. After a long time, "Okay, I agree to your conditions, but you have to keep the funds in the casino. This way." "No." Before the man finished speaking, he was ruthlessly rejected by Princess Tsunade. "This is the money I earned with my own ability. Why should I keep it? When I lost the money, why didn't you tell me to give it back to me?" Hayashi looked at Tianyu anxiously, wanting Tianyu to persuade the Princess of Konoha, Tsunade, to take a step back, as the safety of her companions was more important. Tianyu understood what Hayashi meant, but he did not stop Tsunade. Instead he agreed with Tsunade's approach. "She's right, it's impossible to keep this money." Chapter 68 Transaction. The atmosphere in the room was extremely tense. The people on both sides seemed to be ready to turn against each other at any time and make a move to keep the other side. Both sides fell silent again. Time passed bit by bit in this tense situation. Hikaru was in a panic. Tsunade looked like she didn't believe us to fight. Only Tianyu stretched out his little finger and used his nail to pick his ear, looking very comfortable. Tianyu was the only one who was not in tune. "Okay, I agree to your conditions. You can take the people away. You can also take the money away. I have only one request: you can't make trouble in our casino." The Jonin in the casino said with a gloomy face. "Huh?" Tianyu stopped picking his ears, stretched out his little finger in front of him, blew on his little finger, and said with a nonchalant look, "Don't worry, as long as our people are safe, we won't make trouble. Bring the people here. Oh, by the way, there is one more thing I forgot to say." After getting the other party's reply, Tianyu added another sentence. "You seem to have some means to control people, right? Whether it's the spy before or the 2 people who broke in yesterday, you have to unlock the spell to control people." The Jonin in the casino paused again, then gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, no problem." After doing this, Tianyu stopped talking and sat in the room waiting for them to send people over. "You are from Konoha? You should know me, right?" At this time, Tsunade went up to talk. "I know you." "Of course I know you, Tsunade-sama." Compared to Tianyu's casualness, Hiku responded to Tsunade with an attitude like treating a superior. Tsunade had a complicated expression. "You recognized my identity, and you helped me win money to make me fall into a trap to help you." "Sorry, Tsunade-sama." Hiku apologized immediately. She thought Tianyu planned to do this. Tianyu shook his head. No. It's true that I recognize your identity, but helping you win money is not to use you. After you bet on the leopard, I gave you a choice. At this point, Tianyu stopped talking. Tsunade was puzzled for a long time, and it was indeed the case. After figuring it out, Tsunade swept away the depression in her heart and smiled happily. Boy, you are not bad. After recognizing my identity, you helped the senior without asking for anything in return. You are really a good person. Tianyu waved his hand. You misunderstood. Even if I want to help someone, I won't help like this. I'm helping you. It's not because you are a senior of Konoha, but because I see you are too miserable, and I can't bear it. Tsunade. Tianyu stopped here again. Tsunade wanted to get to the bottom of it and asked her how Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas and the granddaughter of the first Hokage, could be so miserable. Shizune on the side frantically pulled Tsunade's sleeve and told her not to ask. Shizune felt that it was okay for her to be embarrassed, but Tsunade-sama must not be embarrassed. Tsunade-sama, who was dignified, almost had to live on the streets due to gambling and had no food to eat. Shizune really didn't want to hear these words. She couldn't let Tsunade humiliate herself. After a while, the casino staff brought Queen and Deodeo in along with an unknown person. The unknown person should be the spy from Konoha. Are you okay? Have they solved the means of controlling you? Tianyu spoke first. Yes, thank you for your rescue. The spy from Konoha repeatedly clasped his fists to express his gratitude, while Queen and Deodeo kept their heads down and said nothing. They violated the captain's decision, acted without saying hello and were caught red-handed. In the end, they were rescued by their disobedient captain. Queen and Deodeo really didn't have the face to face Tianyu. You're welcome. Let's go if everything is fine. Tianyu didn't make things difficult for Queen and Deodeo, nor did he talk to them. He chatted with a spy from Konoha for a few words, and then they left the casino. The people were rescued, and the spell was solved. Tianyu didn't cause any more trouble to the casino. When he walked out of the remote house, countless casino gamblers came up to ask Tianyu about his situation, and Tianyu fooled them one by one. Tianyu is not a saint. He has no obligation to tell these gamblers the inside story of the casino. These gamblers asked about Tianyu's situation, not because they cared about Tianyu, but they just wanted to get some favorable information from Tianyu. After leaving the casino, Hikari changed her name to Tianyu. Captain, are we leaving for Konoha now? Rescuing people without fighting, letting the 4 senior ninjas dare not take action in someone else's home court. She admired Tianyu so much. Looking at Tianyu, Hikari's eyes were shining with little stars. Tianyu nodded, turned to Konoha's spy and said, you should go with us too. Your identity has been exposed, and it is not suitable for you to stay in the land of hot springs. Okay, it's time for us to say goodbye. Tsunade and Shizune also said goodbye to Tianyu. Tsunade-sama, you are not going to go back on your word, are you? Tianyu suddenly said to Tsunade. Tsunade was surprised. Boy, why did I go back on my word? Didn't you say before that if I helped you win, you would help us solve the problem? Tsunade, didn't you solve this problem yourself? How else do you want me to solve it? Boy, you are not going to blackmail me, are you? Tianyu shook his head. He won about 10 million taels in the casino, and Tsunade was not bad either. She not only recovered her capital, but also redeemed the items she had pawned before, and won more than 3 million taels. We won so much, the casino people will not stop. In addition, there is one more point. After so many gambling games and playing against multiple dice shakers, the casino must have discovered one thing, that is, Tianyu can control their special dice. This is equivalent to Tianyu holding their lifeline, and they will not let Tianyu go so easily. But Tianyu made too much noise in the casino. If Tianyu is not allowed to leave the casino, then the reputation of their casino will be completely lost in the eyes of gamblers. For the profit of the casino, they had to let Tianyu go first, so as not to lose their reputation. Please, Tsunade-sama, walk with us for a while, so that we can take care of each other. Shizune's face was worried, and she agreed to Tianyu's idea without waiting for Tsunade to reply. There were 4 jonin in the remote hut of the casino. This was definitely not the full strength of the casino. If more people came to deal with her and Tsunade, they would be targeted by the casino. Tsunade paused for a while, and also agreed to Tianyu's idea of walking together for a while. The Anbu team led by Tianyu, the spies lurking in the land of hot springs and affiliated with Konoha, and Tsunade and Shizune formed a team of 7 people, and quickly headed towards Konoha. The stars were hanging in the sky, and the night was high. The wind at night gently blew the leaves, and there was a rustling sound. The fireflies flapped their wings and flew slowly over the bushes, blending into the whole environment, making it impossible for people to notice them. One of the fireflies flew into the crowd of Tianyu and his group and landed on Qing's finger. After a moment, Qing asked Tianyu, "Captain Mingayu, we haven't found any traces of people tracking us yet. Do I need to continue exploring?" Tianyu said lightly, "Keep alert. I am 100% sure that those people will catch up with us. We took so much money from them and knew their secrets. They can't let us go so easily." He turned his head and looked at Hideo. "Hideo, don't forget to use your Byakugan to observe whether there are any traces of chakra activity around you." "Yes, Captain Mingayu." Hideo nodded. At this time, Tsunade, who was sitting not far away, took a breath and made an SS sound. There was a bit of undisguised surprise in her beautiful eyes. There are actually people from the Hyuga clan in this team. The censor ninja who used fireflies to explore the surroundings just now should be a member of the Endearing clan. A ninja from the Hyuga clan, and a ninja from the Endearing clan. Both of them are sensory ninjas. As for the remaining female ninja, it is still unknown what kind of ability she has. In an Anbu team, there are actually 2 ninjas from big families, and they are quite precious sensory ninjas. This is really a bit strange. Tsunade narrowed her eyes slightly. The Konoha Assassination Force was originally an organization founded by her second grandfather, Senju Tobirama. Tsunade is very familiar with the structure and daily behavior of this organization. She has dealt with them before. The ninjas of the Konoha Anbu have always regarded military strength as the first priority. They usually do whatever it takes to complete the mission. The most important thing to complete the mission is strength. Therefore, it is very strange that this team is equipped with more than 2 sensory ninjas. Of course, the strangest thing is that the captain of this Anbu team is only 12 years old. Such a team, is the strength really good enough? Tsunade secretly sighed inwardly, considering that she was once a Konoha ninja, and that kid had just helped her win a lot of money. If she could really help in any way, she would just give him a little help. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Ambush. The firewood burned, making crackling sounds. Tianyu sat cross-legged beside the fire, ate some dry food, drank some water to replenish his water, and then began to close his eyes to rest. Suddenly, a gray-black mouse, only as long as a finger, suddenly appeared in front of everyone, making a squeaking sound. "Ah! What is this?" With a scream, Hikaru was startled, and suddenly jumped up from the ground, and subconsciously hid in the direction of Tianyu. Hideo was stunned for a moment, and subconsciously pulled out a kunai from the ninja tool bag and threw it in the direction of the mouse. However, what surprised him was that his kunai swordsmanship, which was always effective, was actually dodged by the little mouse very flexibly. "Don't be afraid." Tianyu held her shoulders, helped her stabilize her body, and then explained, "This is my mechanical mouse. It is used to gather intelligence for me. It is not a real mouse. Hike, as ninjas of the Anbu, we must remain calm and keep our heads clear in any crisis situation." "Yes, sorry, I am naturally afraid of mice." Hike whispered softly, pulling Tianyu's clothes and said coquettishly, "I'm sorry, Captain, I will definitely not be so panicked next time." After she heard that this was not a real mouse, her mood stabilized. Tianyu smiled speechlessly. After all, she was just a little girl. Ninjas who could be selected to become formal members of the Anbu usually went through the baptism of blood and had killed people on their hands. But who would have thought that Hike, a little girl, was not afraid of killing people, but was naturally afraid of mice? Mechanical mouse? "Captain, what is it for?" Hike picked up the gray-black little mouse, held it in her palm, and looked at it carefully from left to right, her eyes full of curiosity. Tianyu said calmly, "It is used to gather intelligence. Those people have already caught up with us." "Impossible." Quing stood up from the ground and shook his head firmly to refute. If someone approaches us, my bugs will definitely detect it in the first place. But now there is no information fed back to me, which means there are no enemies nearby. Deo also shouted in a low voice, Baiyan, open. The blood vessels at his temples burst, and his vision suddenly increased several times. The situation within a kilometer radius fell into his sight. Captain, there is indeed no sign of any other people's chakra around, and my Byakugan has not detected any abnormalities. Deo asked in an uncertain tone, Captain, could it be that your mechanical mouse detected it wrong? Facing their doubts, Tianyu just smiled faintly, and then asked back, when did I say that they appeared around us? Huh? Everyone was stunned for a moment, not knowing what he meant by this. Even Tsunade looked up with some curiosity. At this time, Tianyu said slowly, there are quite a few of them, lying in ambush 5 kilometers ahead of us. I know, it's Fishiguan. The spies that Konoha had ambushed in the land of hot springs were suddenly startled. No one was more familiar with the terrain here than them. He shouted, that's the only way for us to return to Konoha from the land of hot springs. They must be waiting there to ambush us. Tianyu smiled and nodded. Both Deo and Quing were stunned for a moment. With a look of disbelief on their faces, they looked at Tianyu, but Captain, Fishiguan is 5 kilometers away from here. How do you know? Suddenly, their voices weakened, and their voices suddenly stopped at this time, because they suddenly thought of something, a mechanical mouse. It was the mechanical mouse that had just been shown in front of them. This thing could actually detect chakra within 5 kilometers around it? After learning about this relationship, Deo and Quing felt a chill on their backs. Terrible, it was really terrible. Being able to detect chakra fluctuations within a range of 5 kilometers, what kind of existence is this for a perception ninja? I'm afraid that only a ninja with the strength of the clan leader in their family can have such a strong perception ability. The two of them were silent for a moment. Their 12-year-old captain is really much more terrifying than what they knew before. Let's go. Tianyu said to them lightly, since we have made preparations on the road we must pass, we really have to meet them. Otherwise, these guys really think we are soft persimmons that can be manipulated by others. In the dark night, the team led by Tianyu was rushing on the road quickly. Black shadows passed through the jungle, jumping between the thick branches, leaving a residual shadow in the air. We are almost there, everyone get ready for battle. In the dark night, Tianyu whispered. Yes, Captain, Mingayu-sama. Several answers were answered in unison, and except for Tsunade and Shizune who were accompanying them, the rest of the Konoha ninjas, including the Konoha spies, all obeyed Tianyu's orders. I don't know when, Tianyu, the captain of the Anbu, has the absolute command and dominance in this team. Although Tsunade and Shizune did not say anything, they were silently ready for the battle. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, several sounds of breaking through the air sounded in the air, and thousands of kunai were fired at the same time in the direction where Tianyu and his team were. Everyone be careful. Hideo shouted, and then immediately took the Bagwazhang posture and stood in front of the team. Bagwazhang, Keishin. Bagwazhang, Keishin is a high-level physical technique passed down by the main family of the Hyuga clan. At the moment of being attacked, a large amount of soft fist chakra is released from the chakra points in the body, and then it rotates in a circle like a gyroscope, which can rebound all physical attacks. This secret physical technique of the Hyuga clan, coupled with its own rotation and the strong observation ability of the white eye, has contributed to the Keishin move being called absolute defense to a certain extent. Ding 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 ding. Most of the kunai and shuriken attacks hit the semicircular chakra defense shield formed by the Keishin move performed by Hideo. The remaining small part of the kunai was also knocked down by the kunai in the hands of Tianyu and others in midair. A rain of kunai arrows swept down, and there was not even a single injured person on Tianyu's side. Attacks like kunai and shuriken, if used when the enemy is caught off guard, may still succeed against those who are not strong. But Tianyu and his men were already strong, and after having seen through these ambushes, this simple attack was not enough to threaten them. At this time, he had already opened his Byakugan, and even in the dark, his vision was several times stronger than that of ordinary people. Why are there so many people? Deo exclaimed loudly. Deo, how many people are there in total? Tell me quickly. Hikaru urged anxiously. Yes, There are a total of 5 people with the strength of Quasi Jounin. There are 15 people with the strength of Special Jounin. The rest are all above the strength of Chunin, about 70 to 80 people. SHH. There was a sound of people sucking in cold air in the air. Hearing the situation reported by Deo, everyone present, except Tianyu, frowned in an instant. 5 Jounins, 15 Special Jounins, and 70 to 80 Chunins. With such a number of ninjas, is it possible for an ordinary gambling house to have such ninja strength? Although Deo and Queen were caught when they broke into the gambling house, the strength and number of ninjas displayed in front of them at that time were definitely not so terrible. Such combat power has exceeded the military defense strength of a small country. At this moment, even Tsunade realized that Tianyu's previous caution was not because he was cowardly or incompetent, but because the opponent they faced this time was really not simple. Chapter 70, The Strength of the Anbu. At this time, Tianyu smiled. There are so many people, they think highly of us. Among the group of people on the opposite side, the 5 ninjas with the strength of Jonin were standing in the front. They stood in a line on the battlefield, blocking the only way for Tianyu and his team to return to the land of fire. Do you think the money in our casino is so easy to make? One of them said in a deep voice, then stretched out his index finger, pointed at Tianyu and continued, I advise you to hand over that kid to us, and then hand over all the money you won before, and we may be able to spare your life. You are daydreaming. Captain Mingai will never hand it over to you. Hikit put her hands on her hips, and was the first to stand up and curse at those people. Haha, you little girl who doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Another Jonin said in a low voice, with a sneer of laughter, today, we have made sufficient preparations before coming here. Even if Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha, is here, we can't get away unscathed. Hikaru's eyes widened under the mask, and she wanted to continue to curse back with a face full of dissatisfaction, but a hand pressed her shoulder. Captain. Hikaru bit her lower lip with her pearly teeth. There is no need to show off your verbal pleasure. Whoosh. Tianyu raised his hand, and the shuriken shot out directly. He said lightly, let's start fighting directly. Heima, Queen, Hikaru, let me see the skills of the 3 of you. Yes. 3 voices answered in unison, and then the 3 of them rushed in different directions. Heima is best at close combat, and the Hyuga clan uses the white eye and the soft fist as their main means of attack. His strength was also the strongest among the 3. A ninja with the strength of a Chunin could hardly last more than 10 rounds in his hands, and a ninja with the strength of a Jonin could only last 100 moves in his hands. So when he rushed into the crowd on the opposite side and got the opportunity to get close, he quickly killed 3 or 4 ninjas in succession. 8 trigrams palm, soft fist. 8 trigrams 64 palms. The blue chakra contained in the soft fist rang in the air, and one enemy after another was knocked away by his soft fist, flying out like a kite with a broken string. At this time, Queen on the side also joined the battle. As a member of the Endearing clan, although he is best at perception, he is not weak in actual combat power. He did not rush into the crowd like Hideo. He was not good at close combat, so he chose to stand far away, and then raised his 2 sleeves. Hundreds of parasitic insects flew out of his sleeves, turning into a black mass, and something like clouds floating in the air. Secret technique, parasitic insects. Secret technique, insect tornado. Screams rang out one after another. Those who were wrapped by parasitic insects soon turned into a pile of white bones under the gnawing of the parasitic insects. The scene looked very scary for a while. Compared with the physical attack of Shimada's Byakugan combined with his soft fist, the secret technique of the Endearing clan's parasitic insects is more difficult to deal with, because the number of those parasitic insects is very large, and ordinary physical techniques can't deal with it at all. Shimada and Haru, one is good at physical skills, and the other is good at ninjutsu secrets. The 2 cooperated with each other and used different types of ninjutsu respectively, and the cooperation was quite perfect. In a short while, more than 20 ninjas with the strength of Chunin were killed. Although Hikaru is a girl, her fighting power is also not weak. Possessing the Kekkei Genkai of Tao Tao, she drew out the long sword behind her and immediately hid her figure in the air. Then she appeared behind the enemy silently and performed her secret technique, secret sword, moon shadow. Konoha-style sword technique, 3 moon dance. She chopped off the heads of several enemies like cutting vegetables. Although she is a little girl who is afraid of even mice, She really kills people without blinking an eye. Is this the strength of an Anbu ninja? Great, so strong. Behind Tianyu, the Konoha spy who was rescued by Tianyu from the casino swallowed hard, with unstoppable surprise in his eyes. Tianyu did not speak. Anbu ninjas all take killing as their daily task. The most important thing is to have enough strength. Compared with him, a Konoha spy who engages in espionage activities, the most important thing is to disguise himself and enhance his self-protection ability. The gap in strength is of course very obvious. The three of them are all pretty good. Shizune was also standing by, holding the little pink piglet Tunton in her arms, and said with emotion. Although Shizune now has the strength of a Jonin, she mainly practices medical ninjutsu, and in terms of combat power, she can compare with the professional ninjas in the Anbu on the island. It's just so-so. Tsunade said casually. In front of her, one of the three ninjas of Konoha, these three ninjas in the Anbu are not good enough. She saw at a glance that these three young people were just newcomers to the Anbu. Although they were quite strong, they were still far behind in combat experience. As soon as they came up, they used various ninjutsu. Although the lethality was good, they killed more than a dozen enemies in a blink of an eye. However, their own chakra consumption was not small. Now the number of enemies is as many as 100. Such reckless consumption of their own chakras can't fight a protracted war at all. If they were fighting against experienced guys in the Anbu at this time, if they could solve the enemy with a kunai, they would never use ninjutsu to waste extra chakra. The movements were clean and neat, without a trace of dragging. This was the style of the Anbu. These three young men still seemed to be some distance away from reaching the level that the Anbu ninjas should have. At this time, Tsunade's eyes fell on Tianyu. She looked him up and down, her eyes full of curiosity. Since she met this little guy, she had never seen him really take action. However, he was selected to join the Anbu at such a young age, and became the captain of the Anbu ninja. I think his strength should be good, right? Hey, kid, why don't you go up? Just watching your three men facing so many enemies underground? With their strength, they can't hold on for too long. Tsunade kindly reminded him. Tianyu smiled. You also found out? With their fighting style, they can't hold on for too long. What do you mean? I found out a long time ago, okay? Wait a minute. Tsunade was stunned for a moment. What did he mean by that? Did he find out about this a long time ago? Tsunade was stunned for a few seconds, then couldn't control herself and yelled, why don't you go down and help instead of standing here watching like an outsider? Aren't you afraid that your men will lose their lives? Are you just going to watch them die at the hands of the enemy? Don't you Konoha ninjas value friendship the most? Tsunade's questions came out like a machine gun, and at the end, it seemed that she touched on some things she didn't want to recall, and her tone became a little more resentful and sarcastic. As ninjas of the Anbu, they won't be able to learn their lessons without being baptized by blood. Only by letting the three of them suffer can they remember with their bodies what they should do next time they encounter a situation like this, instead of just fighting without considering the consequences. Tianyu's tone was very flat, as if he was just talking about a trivial matter. Besides, they won't die. Tsunade seemed dissatisfied with this answer. The other side has 3 senior ninjas. If they take action, you won't even have time to rush over to save them at such a long distance. How can you say they won't die? Tsunade frowned and continued to ask. Tianyu looked at Tsunade with a smile in his eyes and said lightly, because, if they die, it will seem that I, as the captain, am incompetent to you. Just when Tsunade wanted to continue questioning him, at this moment, an extremely sharp and terrified scream suddenly came from below. Tsunade's heart sank, and a bad thought suddenly came to her mind. Oh no, something must have happened on the battlefield below. Chapter 71 Captain Mangayu takes action. A piercing scream pierced the sky. Tsunade's heart suddenly trembled, and then she subconsciously looked towards the battlefield below them. She saw a long sword with barbs piercing the shoulder blade of the Aburain clan ninja codenamed Haru, and then something bright red gushed out from it. That bright red color is... A sense of fear from the depths of the brain suddenly surged into her heart without warning. Tsunade's legs suddenly became weak, and it became difficult for her to barely stand still. Blood. Her pupils shrank sharply, and her expression was terrified. Lady Tsunade. Shizune hurriedly stepped forward and covered Tsunade's eyes with her hands, then took off her coat and put it on Tsunade. Is it hemophobia? Tianyu glanced at Tsunade on the ground. It seemed that Tsunade's fear of blood was more serious than he had expected. Not only would she lose her ability to move completely after being stained with blood, but even now, just seeing other people's blood had already made her fall into strong fear. Mingayu-sama, let me take care of Tsunade-sama. Sorry, we can't help you with the battle below. Shizune raised her head and said to Tianyu, but I'm a medical ninja. Please help and bring your ninja to me. I will treat him. Okay. Tianyu nodded. The situation on the battlefield below changed in an instant, because the 5 ninjas with quasi-jonin strength who led the enemy joined the battle. They were already jonins, and with the cooperation of the special jonins and chunins beside them, they could barely cope with the absolute defense power of Kaiten and Hikaru, who was good at hiding and evading. However, it was not so easy for Qing, who used secret techniques to control the parasitic bugs to attack. Physical skills were not his forte. After barely controlling the bugs to evade several attacks, he fell into a disadvantage. The person who pierced his shoulder blade with a barbed sword was one of the 5 jonins on the other side. It seems that it is time for me to take action. There was only a white afterimage left in the air, and the white cloak on Tianyu's body fluttered in the air. The next second, he rushed to the battlefield below and blocked Qing, who was injured in the shoulder. The moment he landed, he drew his sword, cut. The majestic chakra surged out, and the longsword in Tianyu's hand slashed towards the ground fiercely. Boom! A thunderous sound suddenly sounded, followed by a continuous cracking sound like thunder. The ground in front of the ninjas was instantly split in half by Tianyu's sword. A huge crack appeared instantly, and continued to spread to both sides. The crack expanded faster and faster, and enemies around began to dodge in time and fell into the crack. Ah! What is this? Help! Lord Kois, help! Screams of fear came, no blood, no fighting, only horrified faces, turning around and trying to escape, but the surroundings were covered by chakra, the ground was shaking, and there was no way to escape from this area. When the group of people in front of him all fell into the ground suddenly closed, leaving no gap. Tianyu stopped, and the ground in front of him was flat, as if the crack that was like a huge mouth of the abyss had never appeared. All this happened very quickly. The jonin whom they called Kois-sama actually just watched this scene, watching more than 10 of his men being buried alive in the soil. In an instant, he didn't react at all, and he didn't even have the chance to rescue them. He was also forced back several meters by the crack caused by the sword energy just now. Captain. Originally, he thought he was going to die, and his heart was full of despair and fear. But at this moment, he saw the Captain Mingayu take action, and for a moment, he was deeply moved. Sunflower. Hideo. Both of you come here. Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain. The 2 of them immediately pulled away from the battlefield just now and came to Tianyu's side, but correspondingly, the number of enemies who were originally fighting on their own battlefields also gathered together at once. But facing Tianyu, who had just killed more than 10 of them with one move, they were also very afraid of his strength for a while, and did not dare to rush up easily. The battlefield fell into a stalemate for a while. In the previous battle, Deo killed 1 jonin, 4 special jonin, and more than 10 chunin. Qing killed 2 special jonin and 7 chunin. Hika killed 1 special jonin and 5 chunin. Now on the battlefield, there are 4 jonin, 8 special jonin, and nearly 20 chunin. How much chakra do you have left? Tianyu asked. I still have 1/3. Deo replied. I still have less than half of my chakra. Hika replied. You have only eliminated 1/3 of the enemies, but your own chakra is running low. If I don't take action, what are you going to do in the next battle? Deo, Hika, and the injured Qing were all silent. As the captain, Tianyu didn't scold them, but the question at this time made the 3 of them feel extremely uncomfortable. Because they all knew in their hearts that if Tianyu didn't take action, the 3 of them would only face death. Big, at worst we can just fight them. Deo said with a bit of dissatisfaction on his face under the mask. Stupid. Tianyu's tone suddenly became a little serious. Do you think you are honored for making meaningless sacrifices? For a moment, the air fell into silence again. Tianyu knew that the effect he wanted to achieve had been achieved. What remained was to let these 3 people reflect on their shortcomings in the previous battles. That was enough. This was what Tianyu could teach them as their captain. Actual combat has always been the best teacher to improve strength. Okay, you take the injured Qing and go to Shizune. Tianyu instructed Deo and Hikaru. Shizune is a medical ninja, she will help Qing treat the wound. Yes. Hikaru immediately lifted up the injured Qing, supported his body and led him towards Shizune. Deo stood there, still reluctant to leave. He clenched his fists tightly, as if trying his best to restrain some of his emotions. Captain, let me stay and fight with you. I want to prove my strength. No need. Tianyu refused coldly. I have seen your strength. Staying here will only hinder my battle. In the next battle, I am the only one needed. Hideo was silent for a few seconds, and then he replied with a yes and turned to jump towards Shizune. At this time, Tianyu was the only one left on the battlefield, blocking them. At this time, the Jonin named Kai stood up. Don't be afraid. The ninjas of the Anbu are just like this. Were they not injured just now? As long as we all come together, we can kill the head of the Konoha Anbu and avenge our brothers. Besides, there is only this little devil left on the opposite side. Everyone come together. With an order, those ninjas with the strength of Jonin and Chunin, holding kunai, shuriken, or short swords and long swords in their hands, rushed towards Tianyu's position. Wind style, great breakthrough. Fire style, great fireball technique. Lightning style, one slash. Various ninjutsu, from different directions, attacked Tianyu in an overwhelming manner. Tianyu's figure was instantly engulfed by these ninjutsu of different colors. Hikaru, who was standing far away, immediately became nervous and shouted loudly in the direction of Tianyu, Captain Mingayu, be careful. Chapter 72, Heaven-Destroying Sword Skills. However, in the midst of the ninjutsu and explosions, a figure rushed out. The next second, Tianyu suddenly had a 3-foot-long sword in his hand. He drew his sword and swung it down. Buzz! On the blade of the sword, a ball of blue chakra-like flowing water suddenly appeared at the moment of swinging, and a terrifying aura immediately spread in the air. Then, Tianyu directly swung the sunwheel sword and slashed forward fiercely. Water breathing, 9th form, water-flowing foam. Tianyu's steps kept changing in the air. The blue water flow attached to the blade of the sword and turned into the sharpest water blade. The next second, a very powerful sword energy exploded from his blade. The leaves and branches on the tree that were cut off by the water blade seemed to suddenly become straight in the falling air. At this moment, countless leaves were suspended in the air, as if they were frozen. A blue water vortex suddenly appeared in the air, and all the leaves were neatly cut in the middle. The terrifying power of the earth shaking seemed to cut off even this space by the invisible water blade. The terrifying blue water blade, carrying the sword energy of the street, rushed in all directions. The enemies on the opposite side hurriedly dodged and fled to the distance, but the few people closest to Tianyu made a crackling sound all over their bodies, and there was a bloodline on their necks. Then the next second, their heads were separated from their bodies, and blood gushed out of the arteries like a fountain. The ninjas who were faster and stronger, enough to avoid Tianyu's sword technique, had at least the strength of a special ninja. At this time, their faces changed drastically, and they all felt a very terrifying blue sword energy rushing towards their bodies. In an instant, the pain hit their brains. There were many large and small wounds on their bodies. With one strike of Tianyu's sword, he swept across the entire battlefield in an instant, directly killing the remaining dozen or so ninjas with the strength of Chunin. All of them were killed with one strike, and the movements were clean and neat. Moreover, the remaining enemies, at least some of them were ninjas with the strength of Jonin, and they all suffered some injuries of varying sizes, with bruises on their bodies, ragged clothes, and blood stains. Although they were only superficial injuries and did not harm their lives, they also had a significant impact on their subsequent combat status. The number of enemies on the battlefield dropped sharply by more than 20 people in this short period of time. All the enemies with the strength of Chunin were annihilated in the hands of Tianyu. At this time, standing in the distance, Hika and others who were still extremely worried about Tianyu's safety just now, all showed extremely shocked expressions on their faces. Although they had long known that Captain Mingai was quite powerful, they had never really seen him take action before, but only heard that he defeated Captain Tenzang. And only at this time did they realize that their Captain Mingayu was already very powerful to a very terrifying level. The weakest enemy was above Chunin, which was the largest number of backbone forces in a village. But in front of Captain Mingayu, they could not resist a single blow. With one blow, they were almost swept away. How shocking and incredible. Captain Mingai was only 12 years old. Your captain is very strong. Even Shizune, who was treating Qing's wound, couldn't help but sigh after seeing this scene on the battlefield. Tsunade was still unable to move because of hemophobia. She sat aside with Shizune's clothes on, hugging her knees with her hands. When she didn't look at the bloody battlefield over there, her emotions could be slightly stabilized. At this time, the ninjas from the casino were also stunned for a moment, with a look of disbelief on their faces. Only then did they react that the ninja in front of them, although younger than the previous few people, was quite powerful. Listening to the address of those people just now, this Anbu ninja codenamed Mingayu is their captain? He became the captain of the Anbu at such a young age, and he has such a powerful strength. When did such a person appear in Konoha? They stared at Tianyu intently, trying to recognize the face hidden under his mask, and what kind of person he was. And those special Jonins who were slightly injured still had a trace of fear on their faces. They didn't understand why this guy's swordsmanship was so strange. Fast. It was too fast. Without making a seal, just a simple swing of the sword, such a terrifying power burst out. It was simply unbelievably strong. However, after all, they all have the strength of special Jonin. They have been in the casino for so many years, and they have seen a lot of the world. With so many people united, even if Tsunade, one of the three ninjas of Konoha, was there, they didn't feel afraid at all. The next moment, they all reacted quickly, suppressed a fear in their hearts, and dared not be careless in front of Tianyu. Water style, water wave. Water style, water wave. In an instant, those special Jonins immediately united, began to form seals together, and cast the same ninjutsu. The ninjutsu they cast instantly connected together, and directly became a huge wave of water, covering the sky and the sun, roaring and deafening, as if to swallow up the entire earth. Water style, great water wave. The power of this move, although it is comparable to the power of water style performed by Hoshigaki Kisame, whose chakra is comparable to that of the tailed beasts in the original work, is enough to make people feel completely shocked. The terrifying huge wave swept over, almost covering the sky and burying the night together. Who are they? Shizune exclaimed in surprise. After following Tsunade for so many years, her knowledge and experience are incomparable to those of the newcomers who just joined the Anbu, such as Shima, Hikaru, and Haru. She almost immediately realized that something was wrong. The people who came to intercept them were definitely not just thugs in a gambling house. With such a well-trained team and such perfect cooperation, even an elite ninja would fall into their hands if they were not careful. With such powerful fighting power, they are just like a well-trained army. Such fighting power is enough to destroy a small country overnight. Seeing this scene, Hikaru, who wanted to cheer for Captain Mingayu's powerful strength just now, suddenly began to worry again. Such an attack. Although the captain is ridiculously strong, he can't resist it, right? The surging waves pressed down, as if they could flatten everything. At this moment, Tianyu faced the surging waves, but he didn't have any intention of avoiding it. He held the scabbard of the sunwheel sword with one hand, then jumped into the air, and then suddenly slashed out with another knife. Boom! At this moment, the whole earth was shaking. With a swing of the knife, the blue vortex of water attached to it seemed to turn the world upside down. The terrifying sword energy burst out again. The blue sword energy, as thick as an arm, spread in all directions. It seemed that the entire space in front of him was filled with this blue sword energy. Water breathing, fourth form strike tide. Crash. The surging water flow was almost crushed by Tianyu's horizontal slash. The water waves in the sky were cut in half by Yui's knife, and fell from the air with a bang, turning into torrential rain. Tianyu still maintained the posture of drawing the knife, and the water flow in the sky instantly collapsed and fell in front of him. Such a scene is so shocking. After years of swordsmanship training, Tianyu has already comprehended the swordsmanship rules of the water breathing to a terrifying level, and his level of swordsmanship is already 100 times more sophisticated than the swordsmanship used by Tanjiro in Demon Slayer. In addition, after he integrated the chakra, the ultimate swordsmanship he displayed has completely surpassed the limitations of the world of Demon Slayer and reached the ultimate power that is enough to destroy the world. Chapter 73 Sweeping the whole place. The next moment, Tianyu took back the sun blade in his hand. His eyes under the mask were very cold, looking at the remaining enemies in front of him. Tianyu squatted on one knee, put the weight on his legs into his storage ring, and then mobilized his chakra and injected it into the light boots on his feet. The blue light flashed strangely on his boots. Full speed. The next second, Tianyu directly crossed the water and rushed out suddenly. Under the full speed burst, Tianyu's body had almost turned into a residual image. Although the ninjas on the opposite side already had the strength of special Junin, they were horrified to find that they could not see Tianyu's movements clearly. He came directly in front of several special Jonins with horrified faces. Tianyu said nothing, and suddenly swept the sword in his hand, water-breathing, first form water surface slash. Boom. A sword energy more than 3 meters long burst out, directly sweeping away the nearly 10 special Jonins. Only 2 of them had time to perform the substitute technique. The others didn't even have time to say anything. With a hint of shock and disbelief in their eyes, they were directly cut into 2 pieces by the sharp sword energy in midair. The air was filled with blood and flesh, and corpses were everywhere. No. Impossible. The water escape we released together was actually blocked by that guy. Could he be a captain-level figure in Konoha's assassination team? The remaining 4 Jonin and several special Jonin all showed shock and fear on their faces. When they came, there were more than 50 people. They thought they could end the battle soon, but they didn't expect that until now. There were less than 10 people standing on the battlefield. Tianyu didn't say a word of extra nonsense. His figure flashed again and rushed directly to the remaining people. He chopped down fiercely again, and the blue water splashed in the air, instantly cleaning the blood on the blade. Hurry up and defend. Earth escape, earth flow wall. Earth escape, earth flow wall. The remaining few people on the battlefield, each of them has quite good strength. Although they were surprised by Tianyu's incredible speed and felt a little overwhelmed, they were not as bad as those losers who were killed instantly without even having time to react. Seeing Tianyu's sword again, they almost all used the earth escape defensive ninjutsu without thinking. At least they were all special Junin, and almost every one of them was proficient in more than 2 escape techniques. Boom! Exclamation mark. The ground trembled, and several earth walls suddenly rose up, and then condensed together, forming an earth escape ninjutsu that was almost comparable to the defensive power of the A-level ninjutsu earth flow wall. It was like an indestructible giant city, lying in the middle of the battlefield. Boom! A sword energy slashed up, and a deep scratch appeared on the earth wall. However, the main body remained motionless, without any shaking. Tianyu's sunwheel sword was extremely sharp and fast, and the huge earth wall just restrained his swordsmanship. With such defense, can it finally block his sword energy? Fortunately, his sword was restrained by this move. Let's hurry up and escape. We must report the situation here to the adults. These ninjas from the Ambu of Konoha are much more powerful than we thought. We have lost so many brothers. The people behind the earth wall finally breathed a sigh of relief and planned to wait for an opportunity to leave this place and evacuate safely. Want to run? Tianyu suddenly smiled. Did you agree with me? A white light flashed in his hand, and suddenly a huge black hammer appeared out of thin air. It was the hammer that Tianyu usually used to forge weapons. This hammer was also one of the ninja tools he forged later. After injecting chakra, the power of swinging the hammer can be increased tenfold. 10 times. What does this mean? Take Tianyu as an example. He has a very strong physical fitness. Although he is only 12 years old this year, his body can bear a weight of 1,000 kilograms. If he swings an ordinary hammer to forge ore, it is enough to reach a pressure of 2,000 kilograms. But if he uses this black hammer to forge ore, the pressure is enough to reach more than 20,000 kilograms. Countless hard and difficult ores were turned into a pile of powder under his black hammer. It is the most convenient weapon for him to use when forging ninja tools. It is a powerful weapon that can even break steel. At this time, Tianyu swung the black hammer and smashed it on the earth wall. 80. Tianyu shouted with a bit of mischievous interest, 40 for the small hammer, 80 for the big hammer. Those who understand this stock will understand. Crack! Tianyu hit the earth wall with a hammer. The earth wall that was originally connected together was shaken. 80. Another hammer was thrown, and the wall of the earth wall collapsed with a bang. Countless dense cracks appeared on it, and the whole wall was shaky. 80. The third hammer hit it, and the earth wall, which had already appeared densely cracked, exploded after this hammer hit it. The powerful force swept across the 8 directions, sweeping the whole scene, sweeping all those who were hiding behind the earth wall and preparing to escape. Puff! In an instant, under the huge shock wave, everyone's body trembled violently, and they all spit out blood. And the next moment, Tianyu urged the light spirit boots again, rushed up at a very fast speed, almost like a dead tree or rotten wood, and hit it with another hammer. Boom! Exclamation mark. This time, without the defense of the earth wall, no one present could stop Tianyu's attack. Even if a few of them barely used their own life-saving secrets, they were shattered by the brutal and direct power of the hammer in Tianyu's hand, sweeping across the entire venue. No one could stop it. Under this powerful force, cracks appeared on the ground, spreading in all directions. This was not the effect of any earth escape ninjutsu, but was cracked by the powerful force attached to the hammer. The potholes on the ground caused by the water escape ninjutsu all had a direction to flow, flowed into the cracks, and disappeared. The bright red on the ground became more, as if flowers were blooming on the battlefield full of ruins, and below were countless corpses as waste, growing flowers of hell. At this point, the enemies who came to ambush Tianyu and his men were almost wiped out here. Most of them died at the hands of Tianyu alone. He killed more enemies than the 3 people of Hikaru, Hideo and Quinn combined. This process was almost in an instant. Tianyu swept the whole field with a force like a rotten wood, and killed them all here. Of course, in addition to Tianyu, there was another enemy left on the battlefield. He was the enemy who stabbed Quinn at the beginning, a Junin named Quais. Among this group of people, he was the strongest, so he could barely avoid the last wave of Tianyu's black hammer just now and did not die on the spot like others. But even so, his internal organs were also seriously injured, and it became a very difficult thing for him to barely support himself to stand in place. "You, who are you?" he asked weakly, with a bit of unwillingness in his eyes. He didn't know how many times he had liked blood on the tip of a knife with his strength, but now, he fell into the hands of a little devil? "Me? Just a captain of the Anbu." Tianyu smiled and waved his hand, saying as if he didn't care at all. But he saw the unwillingness in Koisuke's eyes, and his answer didn't seem to satisfy the other party. It's not good to go on the road with regrets, so Tianyu walked to his side and whispered, "Perhaps, you may be interested in my other title, that is, the Black Death God." You are." Koisuke's eyes widened suddenly, as if he had a nightmare. His face was pale and bloodless, and he was so scared that his eyes almost popped out. But he didn't have the chance to say the rest of the words, and Tianyu broke his neck directly. Chapter 74 The Mastermind. Silence. The moment the battle ended, the entire battlefield fell into silence. Standing in the distance, Hibiscus, Deodeo, Haru who had just treated his wounds, Shizune, and the Konoha spy, all 5 of them were so shocked by the battle that they lost the ability to speak. They all fell into a daze. After a long while, Hibiscus spoke with a trembling voice, "Hey Deo, what did you see just now?" Deodeo sighed, "I saw that the captain solved all the enemies by himself." "You saw it too. Does that mean that everything I saw just now was true? Am I hallucinating or dreaming? The captain actually killed all the people on the opposite side by himself." Hibiscus screamed, her face full of disbelief. Quinn smiled bitterly, "We already knew that the captain was quite strong. How could someone who could defeat Captain Tenzo be weak? But we still didn't expect that the captain's strength would be so terrifying." Hideo laughed helplessly and cursed, "Bah! I couldn't have thought of it even if you killed me. I don't have such a rich imagination. This kind of powerful force that I can't even imagine in dreams, but I actually saw it with my own eyes just now. Until now, I still feel like I was dreaming just now. Oh my god. Our captain is too strong." Hikari's tone was full of admiration, and she had completely become a little fangirl of their captain Mangayu. On the side, Shizune, who watched the entire battle, didn't say anything, but her heart was also very moved. When did such a genius ninja appear in Konoha? Moreover, Shizune's eyes fell on Tianyu. She was very thoughtful and noticed a very important thing, that is, the ninja tools used by the boy just now, the powerful swordsmanship, the terrifying black hammer, and the very strange boots that can increase his speed. Each of these things is definitely not ordinary. It adds a lot to his own strength. Maybe it's because she has been with Tsunade for a long time. When Shizune saw these treasures, she thought of the price at the first time. If these things are sold, they are definitely priceless treasures. What is the origin of this kid? He actually has so many precious ninja tools in his hands? Even the son of the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen in the village, her classmate Sarutobi Asuma in the ninja school, can't afford so many precious ninja tools, right? She felt more and more interested in this Enbu captain. How is Tsunade now? Can you overcome the fear of blood? At this time, Shianai walked to Shizun's side and asked her. Tsunade-sama is fine now. Shizun answered subconsciously, and then she suddenly noticed something wrong, and then she reacted, hey? Wait? How do you know about Tsunade-sama's hemophobia? Hemophobia is one of Tsunade's biggest secrets. In this world, the number of people who know her weakness can be counted on one hand. If some people with bad intentions know her weakness and take advantage of it, Tsunade-sama will be in great danger. Shizun became worried instantly. It was like that just now. Can such a thing be hidden? Shianai ignored Shizun's worry and vigilance, walked straight to Tsunade's side, and asked, are you okay? Yes. Tsunade's mood has basically stabilized. Are you still able to fight? Shianai asked. Yes, but I can't see that thing. I'm sorry. Tsunade's voice was a little soft, no longer as strong and arrogant as usual. It seemed that she didn't have the demeanor of Tsunade, one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha, but just looked like an ordinary girl next door. What if I close my eyes and don't look? Tianyu tried to suggest this method. If I close my eyes, it's okay, but if blood splashes on me, I'm sorry, I'm still afraid. Tsunade hugged her knees with her arms, and her whole body was very fragile. Trust me, I won't let you touch the blood. Tianyu patted Tsunade's shoulder, took out a white cloth, covered her eyes, and said with a little more caution, I need your help in the next battle. The next battle? Everyone present was confused. Did they just experience a battle? And they had successfully killed all the enemies, leaving no one alive. What battle is there next? What made their captain so afraid that he couldn't deal with it alone, and even had to seek help from Lady Tsunade? Captain, what are you talking about? Hikaru was straightforward and asked Shianai first, didn't you kill all those enemies just now? What kind of battle is next? Even if there are really enemies coming, the chakras of me and Deodeo have almost recovered, and we can fight with you. I can do it too. Although I was slightly injured, it doesn't affect my ability to control the parasites to fight. Qing also struggled to stand up from the ground, and his tone was very firm. After Shizun used medical ninjutsu to treat his wounds, he is basically fine now. No. Shianai shook his head at them and directly rejected the proposal just now. Those who ambushed us just now were just some minions, and they were not the real masterminds behind the casino at all. The next battle is not something that people of your strength can participate in. My only order to you is to stay away from the battlefield and protect yourself. Shianai narrowed his eyes. If he guessed correctly, he already knew who was behind the casino. Captain. Deodeo, Qing and Hikaru were all stunned. What kind of enemy could make such a powerful captain so cautious? As Anbu ninjas, the 3 of them were all capable of being Jonin. What kind of battle was it that even they, as Jonin, were not capable of participating in? A silver light flashed in Shianai's hand, and a silver-white longbow appeared in his hand. The tracking bow, a longbow that can automatically lock the opponent's position, uses chakra as arrows, which is enough to cause good lethality. Time is running out, Tsunade, I don't want to explain too much to you. Shianai took Tsunade's hand, pierced her finger with a kunai, and smeared her blood on the tracking bow. Ling. You have successfully signed a contract with the tracking bow and become the owner of the tracking bow. Such a voice suddenly sounded in Tsunade's mind, which scared her. This is. However, Tsunade was well informed and soon calmed down. She guessed that this might be similar to the summoning ninjutsu, except that the contracted beast was turned into a weapon. She realized that her mind seemed to have a connection with the bow and arrow. She was instantly very familiar with the bow and arrow, as if it had become a part of her. Just as Tsunade wanted to ask more, 2 people wearing black robes and red auspicious cloud patterns walked out of the woods in the distance. One of them was wearing a mask on his face, which was only half, covering the area below his eyes. The other one was carrying a huge sickle on his back, with light gray hair, combed back like an adult. 2 people suddenly appeared on the battlefield not far below. They were stepping on the bodies of the casino residents. There was no heartache or hatred on their faces after losing their companions. Instead, they showed a hint of sarcasm and cursed with a smile, what a bunch of trash. They didn't even kill any of the other party. It seems that people with such strength can only be used as cannon fodder to drain the opponent's physical strength and chakra. Seeing these 2 people dressed like this, Shianai knew that the answer he had guessed before was indeed correct. The people behind this casino were indeed the two of them, Kakuzu and Hiden. Chapter 75 The Immortal Duo. Kakuzu, a member of Akatsuki. Formerly an elite member of Takigakure, he possesses the secret technique Earth Grudge, which allows him to use chakra to control the black tentacles released from his body to seize the hearts of others. Including his own heart, he can store up to 5 hearts in his body, and he can extend his life by replacing his heart. He is called the one who lives as long as the heaven and earth. Each heart can be transformed into a black monster formed by Earth Grudge, and its monster can use the technique of the original heart owner. Current strength, sub-cage level. Hiden, a member of Akatsuki and a companion of Kakuzu. He was originally a ninja from Yugakure village in the river country. He has a bold, long-winded and arrogant personality. He believes in the evil god cult and is a loyal believer of the evil god cult. He and Kakuzu are collectively known as the Immortal Duo, and are nicknamed the Zombie Duo by Kisame. Hiden mainly attacks with physical skills, and has the ability of immortality, which can make his opponent and himself bear the same damage through curses. In the original work, he relied on his immortality to kill Asuma Saratobi, an elite jonin in Konoha. The two of them now appeared here wearing windbreakers with a black background and red auspicious cloud patterns. It was obvious that they were working for the Akatsuki organization. Tianyu's previous guess was correct. This so-called casino was just a disguise. In fact, it was a way for Kakuzu to raise funds for the Akatsuki organization. Are you the one who is rumored to be very famous outside, who has always been with the Blood East of Konoha and is called the Black Death God? Kakuzu asked Tianyu in a low voice. Everyone present was stunned, and then their eyes fell on Tianyu, with some doubts in their eyes. Black Death God? When did their captain Mingai get this code name? Tianyu smiled faintly. Oh? I didn't expect you to have heard of my name? How did you recognize me? Kakuzu said to himself, I once heard such information in the underground exchange. Be careful of the man who travels with the Blood East of Konoha, the terrible person known as the Black Death God. It is said that no one has really seen him, and no one knows whether he is a man or a woman, fat or thin, old or a child. Because everyone who has seen him is dead, therefore, he has always been called the Black Death God in the outside world. Black Death God. It is really a code name that makes people speechless. Every time he heard this code name, Tianyu felt ashamed and wanted to hold his forehead. It was because of the 8 gates of ninjutsu that he improved. When the 6th gate was opened, the chakra in his body would mutate into black and attach to him. Under the extreme speed, he was like a black ghost in the daytime, enough to take people's lives in an instant. Over time, during the years when he and Might Guy were training outside, he had such a code name. It's just that this code name is really a bit childish. Tianyu doesn't really want anyone to mention his past dark history. How did you recognize me? Tianyu asked helplessly. Kakuzu took out a picture from his arms. It showed the Nichiren sword that Tianyu had just used. Kakuzu said in a low voice under his mask, Black Death God, worth 100 million in bounty, so I specially collected your information. You use a weapon called Nichiren sword, and the boots on your feet and the white feathered clothes on your body, so after I received the information from my subordinates, I confirmed your identity. I just didn't expect that you are so young, just a little kid. What I didn't expect was that you are actually a ninja of Konoha, and a captain of Konoha's Anbu. Black Death God, you really surprised me. With this identity, your bounty is more than 100 million. Kakuzu's eyes burst into greed, and he looked at Tianyu as if he was looking at a beloved prey. At the end of the Warring States period, the 5 great countries in the ninja world were trying their best to build a ninja village. As an elite of Takigakure, Kakuzu accepted and carried out the mission to assassinate the first-generation Hokage, Hoshirama Senju, in Konoha, throwing a kunai from 800 miles away. However, under the attack of the first-generation Hokage, he suffered a near-fatal blow, and finally returned to the village with his life saved. However, what awaited him after returning was the charge and heavy punishment for mission failure. This was very cruel for him who gambled his life for the village, so with strong hatred, he escaped from prison and took away the forbidden technique regarded as a treasure by Takigakure, Earth Grudge, and then killed all the senior superiors in the village and took away their hearts. From then on, Kakuzu only trusted money. He believed that only eternal money would not betray him, and he has been active in the ninja world with this belief. Kakuzu, why are you wasting time talking to this brat? Just kill all these guys. I can't wait to sacrifice their blood to the evil god. Hiden couldn't help but urge. As for Tianyu, he had already prepared for the battle. He whispered beside Tsunade, "The guy with the sickle in his hand, who doesn't look very smart, is left to you to deal with. The guy's secret technique is to use the sickle to obtain the blood of others, and then he can use the spell to make others suffer the same damage as himself. Tsunade, it happens that you have hemophobia now and can't stand the sight of blood, so just keep fighting at a distance and use the tracking bow to deal with him. After I deal with Kakuzu, I will come to help you." "Humph, don't underestimate me." Tsunade snorted lightly. Although she had hemophobia, she didn't want to be looked down upon by this brat. At this time, she was blindfolded and basically didn't feel afraid. She held the tracking bow tightly in her hand, and the sharp arrow condensed by green chakra was fired from her hand and shot towards the direction of Fidun. Although Tsunade was blindfolded, she also accurately locked on which of them was the guy who doesn't look very smart in Tianyu's mouth. After shooting an arrow, Tsunade immediately bit her finger and slapped the ground, summoning technique. A huge slug clone descended from the sky and instantly occupied one side of the battlefield. Tsunade stood on the slug with both feet, holding the tracking bow in her hand, and rushed towards Hidden. Hidden, holding a giant sickle, was not afraid at all. He, who is always warlike, also rushed forward at the same time. As soon as the two of them fought, they fought in a dark and chaotic manner, and in the blink of an eye, they had already exchanged 100 moves. On this side of the battlefield, Tengo also took the lead in attacking in the direction of Kakuzu. He didn't know how long Tsunade, who suffered from hemophobia, could last under Hidden, so the battle between him and Kakuzu must be resolved quickly. And Kakuzu also wanted to resolve this battle quickly. A bounty of 100 million was enough to make him excited. Earth Escape, Earth Spear. Kakuzu stepped forward quickly and punched out suddenly. On his waxy yellow skin, a hard metallic luster was faintly revealed. This Earth Escape ninjutsu uses the chakra flowing in the body to harden the skin surface, increase one's defense to the limit, and enhance the destructive power of physical attack. It is a ninjutsu that combines offense and defense. While defending, it can also convert defense into attack power, turning the body into a mineral as hard as diamond, which can also hurt the opponent. Earth Escape ninjutsu that hardens the body. Facing Kakuzu, who was attacking him from the side, seeing the powerful Earth Escape and superb physical skills displayed by this sub-cage level ninja in the anime, Tianyu's face suddenly became more interested. "It happens, I like to hit hard substances the most, so let's see if your skin is harder or my hammer is heavier." Boom! Exclamation mark. The moment he finished speaking, Tianyu held the black hammer in his hand and swung it plainly, without dodging or avoiding, directly meeting Kakuzu's fist that had been hardened by the Earth Escape technique. The hammer and fist collided, and a sound actually erupted in the air, a sharp sound that only hard metal objects collided with each other. An invisible ripple in the air instantly spread out, and everyone present was extremely shocked. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.